one at a time, and we'll get the job done. Y'all know what to say. On three. 1, 2, 3.
And the home of the Jets.
Mr. Primetime.
A dark day for the New York Jets.
Well, it's a dark day in your household, apparently. It's kind of dark over there.
Oh, my lighting's better, right?
A little bit. I mean, you've improved. It seems to be a process you're going through. Like you're part of your rebuild. You're rebuilding the background, the lighting, the fancy microphone. It's getting better day by day. It's improving.
Step by step. You got to trust the process, right?
Trust the process. I'm breaking out all my T-shirts, but before we start, we have to say congratulations to Mekhi Becton and the Philadelphia Eagles for a very dominant performance, and Braden Mann and Bryce Huff. Congratulations. A dominant performance. Interesting, boring game, but
terrible
nonetheless.
game. Proud of Becton in a way, but also still just a little upset at the way he handled his Jets tenure. I think if there was more leadership here while he was here, you probably get a lot more out of him. So there's nothing you can really do about that. But I'm glad he got his life turned around, his career turned around. So kind of happy for him in a way still.
100%. And that Super Bowl, that touchdown dance was pretty badass, too. He got some moves for a big man.
He does.
So we have huge news to talk about that shocked the NFL world. The Jets are hiring Rick Spielman as a senior football advisor, which I think is just awesome, dude. That was just like, that's what we're here to talk about tonight is Rick Spielman.
Oh, okay.
But in all seriousness, I don't think we talked about that last week, but I love the move of that, dude, to be honest with you. When you have a first-time front office, all these different, they're pretty much gutting out the front office. Pro personnel guys, scouting guys, which we all wanted, like out with the old, in with the new, but you bring in an experienced guy with an excellent resume, been there, done that, was also part of the hiring process, knows all the parties involved, sounding board, also a buffer between Muji, Glenn, and Woody Johnson. That can't hurt. That, to me, is kind of a smart football decision from the organization that was desperately needed for the last decade.
That was the one move that definitely got me excited and kind of changed my tune a little bit regarding Aaron Glenn, first-time head coach, first-time GM, first-time offensive coordinator. We all kind of went into this offseason with the exact same thought process that this team needs some kind of veteran leadership at the top to get things turned around. So having a guy like that, like you said, who's been there, who's done it before, who could show them the way, who could be that buffer between Woody Johnson and everybody else, like that is exactly what this organization's been lacking.
Oh, 100%, dude. And that's like, you still hope as they put together the rest of the staff that they add that guy on the coaching staff as well, whether it's North Turner as a consultant, you bring in Todd Haley, there's mentions of Anthony Lynn maybe changing roles, but things like that extra piece, I think will help a lot. You have Steve Wilkes on defense, which is great, but I want more on offense. That's kind of the focal point as you rebuild this team.
No, definitely need more on the offensive side of the ball, but I do think Wilkes is going to be that for Aaron Glenn, at least on defense.
Yep. So before we get into the chaos of this news yesterday, which was the reactions are wild, but I'll say this. We can all agree to disagree. We can all share our points. The one thing I don't like, to be honest with you, is the personal insults and the attacking, where it's like, you're a fool, you're an idiot, you're that. No, we're fans. If you're going to criticize the fan, what you're actually doing is you're criticizing the regime that just made the change. So
I could do that.
Yeah, but no, exactly. But so if you go from saying, I love the hiring of this new regime, and the conversation we had was, we did this for 3 weeks. If they decide to move on from Aaron Rodgers, are you agreeing with it? And I was like, listen, if they want to clean house, let them clean house. I'd rather have that than having Woody Johnson and Chris Johnson say you got to keep a guy for ticket sales, whatever else. So they did that. So if the last 3 weeks you said, I'm good with whatever they do with Aaron Rodgers, to them doing it, and now you're pissed off saying you're a fool, then you're the fraud yourself because now you've waffled, right? That's that. But you haven't done that. You've been consistent the whole time. You've been consistent. Like I'm not talking about you, but it's like for the most part, everybody loved they bought him with the hire of Aaron Glenn. They bought it with the front office moves. Like, you know what? Whatever they decide, I'm cool with until this. And it's like, well, the fans that think this are the fools. You're not calling me a fool, dude. You're calling Aaron Glenn a fool. You're calling Rick Spielman a fool. You're calling Muji a fool. That's who you're calling the fool, right? It's not the fans. Like we're arguing a point, but the action was done by the front office.
And I didn't even necessarily like the hires to begin with. I mean, not that I didn't like Aaron Glenn, but my preference all along has just been, the veteran guy that's been there, done it, proven CEO type of head coach. But even still, I fully supported, this regime making the call. Like that was the one thing. Like I didn't want it coming from Woody Johnson or anywhere else. Like I can completely disagree with it, which we'll have an honest conversation about tonight.
Yep.
But I thought the call should have ultimately been made for them. The personal insults, that's just, ridiculous. It's obviously going to happen though. It happens every year, especially down the stretch when everyone's just pissed off when we're playing meaningless games. So it kind of comes with the territory. I expect it, but there's no need for that. Like we all have opinions. We all want the same shit for this team. We all want to see them get it turned around. So
and that's the most important thing. Like when we're discussing this, we all have the same goal. Like we all as a fan base are tired of losing. We're tired of bad offense. We're tired of we're tired of being all these different things. We all have the same goal. Yep. Turn this around, win the AFC East, make the playoffs, win a Super Bowl. No playoffs in 14 years. We're tired. We're all the same frustration. Like, oh, well, you don't want this. We all have the same thing. We want to go about it in different ways, which we can respectfully decide or discuss. But some of this stuff lately, dude, it's like, wow, like this is just like I lose interest when it gets like that personal attacks. I'm like, listen, let's talk about it as men. We could say, okay, you made your point, I made my point. We're good. All right. And now guess what? Tomorrow, he's still not going to be here. So it doesn't make a difference anyway. Right?
Yeah. Oh, I'll certainly bitch tonight, but the long game, I'm certainly hoping that I'm wrong. I don't want to be proven right. I don't care about my opinions or anything like that. Certainly, I think there's some people out there that would just rather be proven right about everything.
100%.
But there's other people that absolutely just fundamentally disagree with the decision to release a Hall of Fame quarterback, granted at the end of his career. I think still the Jets need a guy like Aaron Rodgers in that locker room for many of the reasons that I'm sure we'll get into with this inexperienced regime, but we all have our opinions, so let's get into it.
So I'll start off with this. I have a lot of respect for the Jets to make a clear, concise decision and not let Rodgers dictate it to them, whether he wanted to come back or not. I think when they had the interviewing process with the 33rd team, they all said, listen, when Aaron Glenn, when you're getting interviewed, what is your philosophy here? My philosophy is I want to build my team this way. It doesn't include Aaron Rodgers. And Woody Johnson, Chris Johnson, be like, all right, nope, that's your plan. We're hiring you. You can fulfill that plan. So I like the fact that it's February 9th, and we already know their plan. That's not like, let's wait to see Rodgers come back from a retreat. Let's see if he wants to play. He's like, let's get it out there now so we know we got a month of free agency. They did it like that. I like that they're that decisive with it. Now the decision in itself, I mean, I've been talking about this for 2 days on this channel, so let me know what your thoughts are.
Do you think this sends the best message to the locker room? That they're
Honestly,
serious about winning in 2025? And again, let me just say also, it's not about 2025. It's about erasing 14 years of terrible culture and losing. That's like the primary goal here. I don't give a shit about necessarily what they do in 2025, but if you want to establish a winning culture, why not try to win games right off the bat to save whatever young talent that you still have that might want to stay here? Guys like Garrett Wilson, Sauce, Quinnen Williams, who we saw with the thumbs down. Like, are these guys really going to sit through another season where the expectation is 6 or 7 wins with Tyrod Taylor?
And I'll answer that question.
Are they going to be comfortable with the direction of this franchise after another year of that?
Where were these guys last year when they got their coach fired, and they should have rallied around that and rallied for themselves? If they enjoyed playing with Aaron Rodgers
should have
so
been
much,
fired a year prior. The Rodgers injury, which I'm sure we'll get into also, that's what saved Robert Saleh for an extra year.
But let's just stay with this.
Johnson panicked. Go ahead.
No, but let's stay with the question you asked. The locker room, this heralded locker room, hasn't won anything. The only thing this locker room has
shown how to win, though.
Exactly. And you know what this
coaching, no accountability. How do you expect anybody to win in this environment?
Well, you know what they just did?
Be shown that way.
The entire locker room got put on notice. Be like, the guy that you looked up to and the guy you think is your leader is no longer here. So now we are changing the message throughout the locker room that we're going to do what's best for your organization. Either you're with us or you're without us, and you're out.
But that's making it sound like Rodgers was the problem for all of this.
Not saying that, but they're saying
these problems existed.
This won't be the last move.
Aaron Rodgers got here.
This won't be the last move.
That for 2 decades, his entire career, he's been a fucking winner and he's been a fucking leader. You've got 2 guys on the Packers over 2 decades that have like issues with him. Other than that, who has had a bad word to say about Aaron Rodgers?
But it's not about it. But listen,
it is about that though. Inexperienced head coach, inexperienced GM, first-time offensive coordinator. You need somebody with leadership, somebody with experience. And a lot of those young guys in that locker room, especially on offense, they fucking look up to him.
They looked up to him so much they were 5-12 last year.
Because of him?
He wasn't the answer.
One of the most penalized teams in football. You got a kicker blowing 3 games, a defense that can't hold leads. Nobody fucking held accountable. The issues with this team were there long before he got there. I'm not saying he played
and they remain there with him here.
He was on par with other good quarterbacks last year. Below his standard, but well above anything the Jets have had.
That's the whole thing. But see, the thing is, The Jets standards are so low at the quarterback position that you get average play and he gets praised like the best quarterback of all time. So he's better than Bryce Petty. Good for you. He's better than Zach Wilson. That's wonderful. Zach won more games, but whatever. To me, the locker room doesn't mean jack shit to me right now because the locker room's done nothing. They've done nothing but lose and justify and quit and mail it in and get paid a lot of money, Quinnen Williams. So if you really want him to keep him here, you want to keep him, you win. So if they have to be uncomfortable, you make unpopular decisions. Say, you know what? The new sheriff in town now. If you don't like it, you know what you can do? You can leave. Because you haven't won anything anyway.
How many times, though, are we going to go through this cycle and repeat this cycle of replacing young, talented players just because everything around them fucking sucks?
Do we look at
who
is the biggest one
so bad consistently for 14 years?
Who is that big marquee player that we read that a coach came in and said, you know what, you're out because I don't want to do it anymore. This is the first time the Jets have a hard ass first-time head coach and blown out the scouting department. Said, you know what, we are truly getting rid of all of these scouts that have been here 20 years. The contract guy's been here 17 years. We're coming in here with a whole new approach. The Jets have not done that in forever, man. Everybody's been so comfortable with their jobs here and rolled right into the locker room. With
the front office, I agree. Absolutely.
What
that
play
needed to be overhauled. But
so
there's
now
still young talent on this roster that's never been shown the right way to play the game. They've never been coached up. They've never been held accountable. And you've said that many times. We've all said it.
And they haven't left yet. Have they left yet? No.
Not yet.
Not yet. So people are so worried about what the reaction. What did Aaron Glenn say when he came here? First of all, Aaron Glenn says, I want to be here. I want guys that want to be here and want to buy into my program. If they don't want to buy into it, they can leave. Period. Because how many guys here under Saleh were just collecting checks? The Jets were a team people were coming to get big paychecks and not perform, and it was okay. So if you have to make
or not to cut you off, but like, are we forgetting that Aaron Rodgers chose the Jets?
So what? It's over.
That doesn't mean anything.
But Aaron Rodgers is in the future. The most you're getting out of yes, it does. Because you
can still draft your future and let him sit for a year behind Rodgers while establishing that winning culture by actually winning games instead of punting another season.
You're not punting the season though.
What is your expectation? And I think we talked about this last week. What is your realistic expectation with Tyrod Taylor over a full season? What are the Jets doing?
Here's the way I look at it. Right now, if we think that Aaron Glenn is actually intelligent and well thought out and has a plan, I have a hard time believing that he says, you know what? We're going to release Aaron Rodgers and just say, fuck this season and lose as many games as possible. It's February 10th. We have free agency. We have the draft. A lot of things can play out, a lot of change. What this reminds me of is the first day of free agency when the Jets don't do anything and all these people go, oh my God, the Jets are doing nothing. They fucking suck. Same old Jets, nothing's going to change. 2 days later, they make moves. Oh my God, Joe Douglas is a fucking genius. It's the same shit. If Aaron Glenn is a smart man who has Bill Parcells back and all these guys around him, do you think he's dumb enough to say, I'm going to punt the season? And furthermore, everybody's like, what's the expectation? Guess what? If the Jets win 7 games this year, you know what that it is? It's an improvement. They only won 5 last year. That's just a fact.
They won 7 with Zach Wilson.
But this is this. Was I telling you? What did Aaron Rodgers bring to the table?
Yeah, because it was all him. Yes, it was all him.
Then it wasn't Zach Wilson.
You fired your coach 5 games into the season. You had no defense, no field goal kicker, no accountability, but it's all Aaron Rodgers. Come on.
I'm not saying I have never once said it's all Aaron Rodgers. To me, the entire organization was a failure. Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, Downing, Hackett, Rodgers, the kicker, the defense, everybody. A lot of overrated players here, a lot of comfortable players here, and a lot of bad players here too that we think are good and are not. So you got to weed out.
All of these guys, all of these coaches that you just meant, they have never won shit, right? And Aaron Rodgers has won his entire life. And a lot of the guys that we end up sending out
last 2 years?
end up figuring it out elsewhere, and they end up winning.
But you're acting like Aaron Rodgers. Wait, hold on. You're acting like Aaron Rodgers is 30 years old and won all his games with the Jets. His success is with the Packers. When was the last year Aaron Rodgers played healthy?
Well,
not this year, not last year, not the year before. He hasn't been healthy in 4 years.
First half of the year, he was getting beat up. Second half of the year, he was healthy. He looked mobile. His touchdown interception ratio was solid.
So he got beat up. His last year in Green Bay, what was he? He was hurt. He's been hurt for 4 years. He's only getting older. He's only getting older. So now for one more, so let's string this out one more year to pray he can stay healthy, to pray he can learn the offense, to pray all these things. And while we're doing that, let's endure that $60 million cap at the next year. So let's not look big picture. Let's sell our souls for this 1 year of possibly winning 8 or 9 games, which does jack shit for the Jets, to celebrate that. And then the next year, be like, you know what? Shit. Now we need a quarterback. Now we need to do things. And guess what? Now we have cap problems. Because if Rodgers comes back, Adams come back.
Do we even know if they approached him about reworking his contract?
Cap's not. You're not going to lose that cap hit, dude. The cap hit. You're
still
taking
a massive cap hit.
Right. I'd rather own it this year than next year. To sell your soul for this year, the Jets already sold their soul for 2 years. The last 2 years was Rodgers' chance to do it. It didn't happen. Now you got to own it. Rip the Band-Aid off, take the cap hit, weed out the contracts, take this new staff, this new regime, and move forward with it. Because it's not, to me, it's big picture. This isn't about this year. It's about the next 4 years of getting this turned around.
And I agree with you. Big picture, next 4 or 5 years, absolutely. So get this regime started off the right way and actually win some fucking games next year. Don't go into the first year of a new regime ready to excuse all these losses.
But why? But what I don't understand, like we're acting like Aaron Rodgers is Patrick Mahomes right now. He's not. He's really not. The whole thing.
Nobody's saying he's Mahomes. He's still a good fucking quarterback.
He's good if he can stay healthy. If he can fit in the offense. There's not like he's a slam dunk. We're not getting Joe Burrow this year from Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of things you got to hope about. He likes a certain style of offense. He wanted Nate Hackett. He wanted this. He wanted that. All the things he wanted, you're taking away. So now you're telling him, listen, this is our staff. We understand what you like to do. We don't like to do that. Like there's a lot of things he brings to the table other than.
And if he wasn't willing to embrace any of that, then yeah, you tell him to fuck off. Absolutely. I would completely agree. If he wasn't willing to rework his contract or he still wanted Hackett to stay around, then you understand it. But if they didn't even approach him about reworking his deal or even talk to him about the new offense or get the opinions of guys in that locker room, then I have a major issue with this.
But I don't. Why does the locker room matter? Are they the coaching staff?
If you had no talent on this roster, I'd agree with you. I've still believed that there's a very talented young core here that just needs to be shown how to win.
So if
you want to lose all of them, get rid of their leader.
Hold on. You just made my point for me. There is a very talented young core in this locker room that just needs to be shown how to lead. Exactly. So what is saying if you give a great defense and a solid running game and a game manager, this team can't win 7 or 8 games just on that alone without.
Okay, so let's take that example. The Jets win 7 or 8 games next year.
Right.
Is Garrett Wilson signing a contract extension?
How do we know? So if they win 7 or 8 games and he has 120 catches and 1,200 yards, all he wants is stats. He wants a direction.
You didn't see him the first 2 years. He wants to fucking win too.
Did you see how he acted with Aaron Rodgers last year? With Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams? That's the reason why he wants out. It's like these guys are clowns. They're treating me like garbage here.
They were playing meaningless games. The team was actually winning. You think he has that same attitude?
You think Garrett Wilson wanted out because he just didn't like the Jets or the way he was being treated by Aaron Rodgers and with the whole Devontae Adams thing?
If they were winning games, I think his attitude's different. And if it's not, then maybe he's not the guy we thought he was.
I think he probably feels a lot more comfortable now than he did 2 days ago. But to me, you just said it yourself. There's a nice young core here that you want to keep around. So I don't understand why everybody thinks on February 10th the Jets are punting the season when free agency hasn't happened yet and the draft hasn't happened yet. And in theory, based on what we think, this team should be better coached and better discipline, better accountability because it can't get any worse than we saw last. So if you have improved accountability, better discipline, and better fundamental football, you can win games.
Now you're proving my point for me.
No, I'm not.
Why can't you win with Aaron Rodgers, who's won his whole fucking life?
Because there's not an enormous drop off between Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor at this point. There's not.
I completely disagree with that. I
don't think there is. What's the difference? There's not a huge drop off anymore, dude. There's not. The rap on Tyrod Taylor is he can't stay healthy. But guess what Aaron Rodgers can't do? He can't stay healthy either. And he's only getting older.
Played every game last year.
Right. And he shouldn't bench in how many of them. He played every game, and how many should he actually been playing in? But the Jets catered to him like they did for the last 2 years. Whatever he wanted is whatever he got. And that has to change.
What choice did the Jets have, though, but to cater to him? Like when you're desperate and, in theory, a quarterback away, you have a chance to get a Hall of Fame three-time MVP. Hold on.
No, last year, when it was beyond obvious that he was hurt and playing poorly, what the Jets should have did if they had any balls, they should have benched him. But they wouldn't do that to their superstar quarterback. That's what they should have did. Because Aaron Rodgers admitted himself, man, earlier on I was really banged up. Now I finally feel good. When you have Tyrod Taylor, I'm not saying Tyrod Taylor's great, but if he's a serviceable quarterback that can run your offense to hold the fort until you can actually get back healthy to save your season, that's what they should have did. But Saleh would never do that, and neither would friggin' Olbrich because he was useless. But the thing is, the Jets aren't punting on the season. They're just not going the direction everybody wanted. There's a lot of moves that can still be made where they can still play competitive football this year.
Obviously, they're not going to come out and say that they're punting the season.
But they're not.
In all likelihood, this is going to be a bottom 10 team. If they don't,
you just said they have a good young
legitimate quarterback.
They have a good young core.
They do.
Okay.
And they haven't had a quarterback. And where has that gotten them the last couple of years?
Dude, they were winning. Okay. They were winning games with Zach Wilson. You know, they did that. They ran the football, played great defense. So your young core can play great defense. You're gonna have a guy in this roster that's better than Zach Wilson. Why can't they win 8 or 9 games with that? They can.
The defensive line, especially, is completely different from the team that won the 7 games with Zach Wilson. That was essentially carrying them, and the running game with Breece Hall making those big plays, which they didn't have last year.
So,
when you're bringing back so many young guys, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, 4/5 of your offensive line should be coming back. You got Garrett Wilson coming back, Breece Hall coming back. Like, you have enough young talent that's familiar already with your quarterback. Obviously, he's still going to be learning
Tyrod Taylor too. Tyrod Taylor's been there too. Tyrod Taylor's been in the building. They know him. They don't know him.
Really?
You want continuity? You already have it. Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis have both been here,
and he hasn't played in a single game with the Jets.
He's been there with them side by side, going through the trials and tribulations.
Practicing with the number 2s. Like, great.
He's still. You want continuity? He's still there. He still speaks their language. He still knows what they bring to the table. And until the Jets they ship out Garrett Wilson or Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, nobody's leaving. So it's the same unit. So it's like, you know what you do? You fix the defense, which has been a mess thanks to Joe Douglas and his dumb decisions and whatever Solid did there. You fix up. You play very good defense. You run the football. You got 3 good running backs, and you find a game manager until you can find your franchise quarterback. It could be either this year or next year's draft class is loaded. But the Jets aren't punting on the season. They're going about a different way of winning, and they're not catering to the guy that everybody wants to cater to.
That's one way to look at it, but of all the options that are available right now, there's nobody that really gets me excited, or at least makes me think that this is going to be a team that's, knocking on the door of 9-10 wins, making the playoffs, doing something that could get these young guys to actually believe that this organization is turning things around in the right direction.
Well, but that comes from, like somebody like Quinn Williams doing that with actually sitting down with Aaron Glenn and talking to them and going through meetings like that, to me is foolish. It's like, all right, that's half the problem, is that after a game, all Jet players like, oh, this and that, pointing fingers, we're like, no, dude, that's part of the problem. It's the culture here. Everybody's assuming all these things. You haven't even given the guy a chance.
That culture was here, again, long before Aaron Rodgers. And maybe a lot of those guys in that locker room actually identified him as being part of the solution and not adding on to the problem.
But the solution for what? The solution to do what? He won the solution last year to what? Win 8-9 games?
Yes, on top of everything else that went fucking wrong last year. The owner not firing Saleh the year before, then doing it 5 games into the year. Ulbrich was over his head. The team was completely undisciplined. They were a fucking mess last year in every aspect. I'm not saying the quarterback was great, but every aspect of the team and the culture was a complete fucking mess, and you know that.
Right.
So why is it on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders?
No, it's not on Aaron. I'm saying, I'm agreeing with all the things that went wrong, but to me, it's like you clean a lot of that stuff up, get a better kicker, okay? Do this. You can take all these pieces, take out Rodgers and that enormous cap hit, and try to find answers for this year and the future, and do it with a much more financially responsible way, with other ways of handling it, when you're trying to incorporate a new culture and a new voice in a locker room. It's a different voice now. It's not Aaron Rodgers' team anymore. The problem was the Jets gave this organization to Aaron Rodgers, said, you know what? You're our GM, you're our head coach, you're our captain, you're a leader, you're everything. And that was the problem, because the Jets didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they made him the king of the castle. That has to change when you want to change your culture. You remove him and say, you know what? I'm the sheriff now. Aaron Glenn's the sheriff now. It's no longer Aaron Rodgers. That's the way it's going to be. He's going to bring in his quarterback, his guys, his offense, his defense. And if you like it, great. If you don't, tough shit. But that's the way it's going to be here. And you like when Dan Campbell went to the Lions, what did he inherit? A bona fide mess there. He did. And he made unpopular decisions, and it worked out because he believed himself, and they did it their way. This is the same thing. You got to make unpopular decisions, and with a big picture in mind. It's not just about this year. And I honestly don't think they're punting this year. I don't. I think they're going to be very competitive. And there's a lot. I just think that
you can't say that until you see the quarterback.
Yeah, but you can exactly. So we can't. Everybody's saying the Jets are punting on a season, they're incompetent. It's February 10th. We don't know what it's going to be when we go to training camp in August.
Yeah, but what quarterback that's out there is legitimately going to excite you?
There are so many things.
This team's actually going to go to the playoffs.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't excite me. Aaron Rodgers doesn't excite me because you know what I know is he's a 1-year Band-Aid. That once he's gone, we're in the same boat next year. And I'm going to look at now we're in the same boat next year with a significant cap problem, so that the team that I want to see, we can't even field. It's going to be so.
If the team wins 10 games next year, you can't say, even if Rodgers retires right after that, you can't say that they're in the exact same boat going into 2020.
No, what's going to happen? They're going to take a step back and be like, oh, this coaching staff sucks. The same thing with the Giants and Brian Dable. Brian Dable won with Dan Jones. Oh my God, he's so great. Everything's so great. And it's been a dumpster fire ever since then. It's been horrendous.
Or maybe it attracts the right quarterback to come here thinking that things are actually going in the right direction, that this coaching staff knows what they're doing, that they just won some games in their first year. They're heading in the right direction.
But you can see that with anybody. You can see if they get quality out of Tyrod Taylor, it's fine. If you bring in Sam Howell, he plays well. All right, you know what? It's going to be more about how the team plays other than the quarterback position. Is it a smart team? Is it a physical team? Are they well coached? Are they prepared? That's the whole thing. It's not just one person. It's the program.
But losing has already taken its toll on so many of these guys, man.
That's not Aaron Glenn's fault.
No, but if you're going into a year where the expectation 6 or 7 wins with Tyrod Taylor,
but that's your expectation.
That's going to have.
Do you think that's Aaron Glenn's expectation? Do you think Aaron Glenn walks in the building the first team meeting? You know what?
Not what I'm saying.
Guys, no, this can be the meeting, guys. I know we traded away your leader. Just so you know, my expectation for you is 6 wins, and that's our goal for the year. No, he's going to say, you know what? What's happening here throughout the organization is unacceptable. We're going to change this shit from hell to however we got to do it. So either you're on board or you're not. And you work your ass off and work with us, or you're going to work against us and you're going to be gone. But that's the way you have to handle this.
Okay, so
and if they want to buy in, great. If they don't, they have to go.
All right, so not the expectation, just the reality of what a Tyrod Taylor-led New York Jets
team.
The reality is we don't. First-time head coach and a first-time offensive.
The reality is we don't know what that is. We won't know until we see in week 1 who starting quarterback is. This reminds me so much of free agency, dude, where everybody assumes and we don't know. Aaron Glenn and his staff is too smart to sit there and be like, you know what, we're going to punt the season and we don't have a legitimate answer here. Or we're going to say we have no quarterback.
Who's the legitimate answer then? How do we give you a better chance to win next year than Aaron Rodgers does?
Dude, we will see what their plan is. Because everybody assumed the plan was Aaron Rodgers. And the funny thing is, I'm real curious to see how many of these candidates were going to keep him. Because Dimitrov said the same thing. He wouldn't have kept him either. Yeah. Keyshawn Johnson said the same thing. I wouldn't have kept him either. A lot of people are saying, based on what the Jets are trying to do, to change their culture and change the direction, it's not about trying to win this year, whatever games you can. You can still win games at a much reasonable way with a less cap hit, with less drama, with less bullshit, and finding a new direction.
Getting rid of Rodgers says that he's part of your culture problem.
No, he's saying he's a fucking enormous cap hit.
If you're trying to change your culture and one of your first major moves is to get rid of the quarterback, you're saying he's part of the problem. Are you not?
You're telling me his cap hit next year is not a huge play in this?
Did they even talk to him about the cap hit?
Bro, it's obvious. The financial impact of this is huge. He's 42 years old. He's old.
Did they even approach him about reworking his deal?
I was in the office. I'm sure they tried to figure this out.
I don't think they did.
We're acting like the Jets are like this new regime is so incompetent that they blindly made this move to spite the fans. Like, you know, fuck Aaron Rodgers. We hate Aaron Rodgers. They're trying to do what's best for the team on and off the field. As Aaron Rodgers is not the end all be all for this team. He's not like
they could just be intimidated.
Intimidated by what?
Rodgers' presence.
No, dude. To act like Aaron Rodgers is the Aaron Rodgers of 10 years ago is ridiculous. He's not the end all be all. He's not.
No, I'm not saying that.
If Aaron Rodgers is the only guy in the entire world that can win game for the Jets this year, then cancel the season. I'm like that's absurd.
Not the only guy, but the best guy to give you the best chance to win.
In the eyes of some, he's not, because there's a lot of ifs. We're assuming he's the Aaron Rodgers of 5 years ago. That's what you're hoping as he gets older, as he learns a new offense.
The healthy version of Aaron Rodgers that we saw last year with better coaching,
all
better
3
culture,
games,
accountability.
All the 3 meaningless games that he won.
Not all his fault, and you know that.
All I know is that 5-12 is all I know. So, what's up, David? How you doing, David? I haven't talked to you in a while.
What's up, David?
He isn't calling no more. There are financial consequences for keeping a 42-year-old quarterback and the hope and prayers he wins 1 year. This is Glenn's team now, not Rodgers. I agree.
But again, it's not just about winning for 1 year. It's about setting that foundation and setting that culture so that Aaron Glenn could actually be successful here.
And you could do that without Rodgers. That could be done without Rodgers. It can.
If you're talking about Tyrod Taylor starting for the Jets, I'm sorry, but I agree with what you said last week, where 6 or 7 games, that's probably what you're looking at as far as wins.
I can make the same argument they can win 6 or 7 games with Aaron Rodgers, too.
I would disagree.
So Fernando says Kirk Cousins and Justin Fields are the best option. I mean, Kirk Cousins, he has a huge contract in Atlanta. I guess I'm sure he's going to cut. Yep. I mean, Justin Fields, I think, may stay in Pittsburgh, though, because I think Russell Wilson's going to be going to the Raiders. I think they're saying now, right?
Yeah.
So
As far as available options, though, I mean, I would certainly take either Cousins or Fields over Tyrod Taylor.
Just hate Tyrod, man. I'm gonna buy a Tyrod jersey now. I just know that they have a better dude. Legend already has a Tyrod jersey from last year he wants to wear, so he's already got it ready for you. Dante says, "I just know they have a better they better have a plan. They have to, man. Do you think the Aaron Glenn takes over his organization, says I'm going to cut Rodgers, have no plan behind it?
What if their plan is to tank and then
they're not
get
tanking?
Top 5 draft,
not, dude. You're not. You don't build a new culture with tanking, dude. That's come on. We're better than this. We can't do these. We're not. Oh my God. So Fields is the guy I want. I mean, Fields would be interesting, man. Stop being a dead horse. The A-Rod experience is over. It's definitely over.
I know that it's over. Doesn't mean I have to agree with the decision, though.
Nope. So let's fight callers on, because I'm sure we're going to argue about this, and we'll see how it goes. Never a dull moment with the Jets, obviously.
They always give us content to talk about.
Always give us content. At least I'm making content. You know what I mean? Big news day yesterday. Yesterday was a day I literally waited. I waited all day. I'm like, I can't wait to see Primetime's video because I want to comment on that shit. And I'm like, this bastard. I'm like, I'm taking all the heat. I'm like, he's not making anything.
What heat did you take? You
love
the move.
No, because they're like,
let's move on from Aaron Rodgers! ! You love the fucking move.
No, I wait for Primetime. Dude, I waited.
After the stream tonight, before I go to bed, I promise there will be a video up.
Whatever, man. Now everybody's already over it. They get me involved in it. What do you think Primetime's going to say? Ask him yourself. I don't know. You're here. Ask him. How the hell do I know? Nonsense, man. So, still wait for Tyrone's video. Me too.
2 years.
Sam Darnold's not happening, man. That's 1,000% not happening. Guarantee it.
I would be on board with it, but he would never come back here.
No, I don't think so either. A lot of interesting names out there. And again, you can tell Primetime's getting a little redder and redder by the moment. I'm relaxed, man. I'm just easy going here. I'm just,
yesterday.
Imagine doing all this and the news is fake. It's not fake, man. It's done. It's definitely not done. So if you want to call in and talk about it and argue a Primetime, I'm cool with it. I'll just sit back. I'll play referee. No personal attacks, of course. We don't appreciate those anymore. So how do you want to start this? Do you want to start with a professional debate? Do you want to have some comedy to start it off?
Let's ease into it tonight. A little professional to start.
Okay. Gang Reed David, stay tuned, dude. I'll be announcing a fundraiser this week. I'll be doing a weekly video blog too, so stay tuned. I'm just busy as shit, man. So stay tuned. I got a lot of things coming. Just want to find time to get some sleep. All right. So all right. There we go. Professional.
First. Oh boy.
He got to fix his hair first. Like, hold on a second. I got to.
Yeah. What hair? Whatever's left of it.
So, Afram, the floor is yours.
No, I think it's a great move. It had to be done.
Is it a great move with an exclamation mark, or just a great move? Just a great move.
No, I mean, there's no, the narrative is he gives us the best chance to win, but we have coaches we don't know they're proven. So exactly. But what happens if they can't make the defense work and then they keep losing games because they can't stop the other team? So what's the difference at that point?
So why not have the best?
Either it doesn't work here or it doesn't work here, right? It doesn't make a difference. You got to. What
does the defense have to do with having the best quarterback possible?
And what's he going to do for you when you can't stop the other team?
Oh, so Tyrod Taylor's going to put up 30 points if we can't.
No, but I'm saying, but you're saying that you're going with that the unproven coaches. You don't know what you're going to get, but guaranteed that you're going to get this from Rodgers. But if he can score, let's say 20 points. Or 25 points, but we're giving up 35 to 40 points a game. What's the difference how many points he scores?
Well, if we're giving up 30 points a game, obviously nothing's going to change.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. There's no guaranteed. Gives us best chance of winning, but you're saying on one end that we don't know what we're going to get from the coaches, but you're pretty sure that we're going to win games with Rodgers. You follow me?
If this coaching staff is worth a damn,
so if this coaching staff is that good, they can make a defense that can stop other teams. and enough to get 15 points, we can stop like we did when
When you
Salah
look
first
at
started.
all the problems
We
that
don't
the Jets
know.
had last
But
year,
this is the
if this
problem. We
coaching
just
staff is
don't
capable
know.
of fixing some of those, I would
But
like Aaron
you don't
Rodgers to be
know.
the one
We
leading
don't
this
know.
offense.
Based on everyone saying we have unproven, we don't know. But we have
So
to.
what does that have to do with the quarterback decision? I don't get what
It has to do with
has
the
nothing to do with
decision
it.
of quarterback. They don't
You
feel
still
that
want the
he's
best
going to do it
quarterback
for them.
possible, regardless.
Yeah. Well, guess what? They don't feel he's worth keeping at this point. All right. They need young players and to succeed, and that's what they're doing. And he did that. If Parcells made this move, if he was the head coach today, and Parcells made this move, how would you feel?
Parcells was actually established by the time he got to the
I don't.
Jets.
I'm not. My question is, how would you feel if he made this move?
If
Parcells.
somebody proven and established that has won multiple Super Bowls in their coaching tenure made this move, I would be on board with it a
the
little
question
bit more.
is, if Parcells made this move, got rid of Rodgers, how would you feel?
Like I said, I would be on board with it more than I am right
so
now.
what's the
From an
difference?
inexperienced head coach,
He would have
an
the same
inexperienced
team he
GM,
has
an
now.
inexperienced offensive
That
coordinator.
Aaron Glenn has now. It doesn't change anything. Whoever the coach. The move
Parcells,
was
you can
he
trust
got rid
coming
of,
in and doing it his way.
based on what you're saying.
Aaron
He
Glenn's
got rid
never
of
done
the
it
best
before.
chance of winning with a quarterback. So if Parcells made the move, he would have gotten
Because
rid of the
Parcells
best
won his
chance
whole
of
fucking
winning.
life. What has Aaron Glenn won so far?
Wait,
He's
prime
won
time. Hold
nothing.
on.
He's never been a head coach.
So prime time. What if Brian Flores made this move?
I'd fucking hate it.
So
You know I hate Brian. Like, what does he want either? He's 24 and 25 as a head
What happens
coach.
if Sean Payton made this move?
His team's collapsed down the stretch. What
Happens if Sean Payton made this move?
Again,
Because he didn't.
proven
He
guy
did.
that's won a Super Bowl. I would
He
respect
did.
it a
He
little
did
bit
in
more.
Denver. He got rid of
Russell
Russell Wilson and he put in a rookie.
Yep.
So, like I said, a proven head
Why?
coach.
Because he
that
had a
has actually
stout
won
defense.
before,
He knew what he had.
that would.
So now prime time is
Love
prime
the
time.
team.
So prime time
Love
now
the
is really
team, not the player.
prime time's problem
Remember
is
these
who
words.
made the decision.
Love
now.
the team, not the player.
I disagree with the decision, but again, if you have somebody in your building that has actually won Super Bowls before, that you know commands instant credibility within that locker room, which Parcells did, you trust that decision a lot more. Coming from
Still
Aaron
trust the
Glenn
decision.
and Muji and a first-time
We
offensive
finally got
coordinator, how are we all jumping on board saying, all right, yes, Tyrod Taylor, now here we go. Here come the Jets.
Nobody's
We
saying
don't know if it's
Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor.
Exactly.
We don't know it.
So then who's the better option than Aaron Rodgers right now?
We'll find out by
Don't know.
September.
We'll know what they do. We know we got free agency. We got the draft. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
But right now, we got rid of something that was going to have to be
Yeah, so
leaving
we got
anyway.
rid of something before we even know what we're going to be able to get.
Maybe that's not in their plans. You're going to build a team around a 42-year-old.
You're not going to build around it. You're going to
Well,
try
they
to
say,
set
who
the
are you
culture
building
the right
around
way
it?
by winning next year. Absolutely.
Well, what happens if they don't get it? With that kind, with $20 million in their cap, what are they going to do?
Hard to rebuild with a $65 million cap hit.
Exactly. And then the following year,
Wait. Me? Zach Wilson? Nah. Let's not even start that.
no
one.
personal
Go ahead.
attacks. All I'm saying is,
I was the anti-Zach Wilson truth.
listen.
I don't think any of us
I've
is
been
Zach Wilson
watching
truther.
this team longer than you. I'm probably twice as much, and I'm still thinking this is the best move for this team. And I'm willing to wait for this guy to build a team. They're finally doing something
he
that
does.
makes sense. Okay,
I think it makes zero sense.
that's opinion, but we don't know.
I don't think they're punting on the season, dude. I don't. I think they can
I don't
be
think
very
they're punting on the
competitive and win
season.
football games without Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is not the end all be all to win games for the Jets.
Coaches
A
and
lot of
players don't punt on seasons, but like
Listen.
it's not exactly like they're making the move that gives them the best chance to win next year,
It's
though.
February 10th. It's February 10th. So much can happen between now and August. It's just wild that it's just like, oh, this is it. Season's over.
Here's how I look at it. Everyone complained about accountability. Now he set the tone. I get rid of a Hall of Fame quarterback right now.
Yeah.
And I couldn't care less what you think.
That's the one that gets held accountable.
Yeah, and
He
doesn't
won't
make
be
a
the only
difference.
one.
Why did you Douglas get traded?
Oh, that pissed me off to no end. I hated Parcells for
Exactly.
that. I hated Parcells.
Did he
for
make
that.
a
It
statement?
pissed me off. I'm like, that
Did he
old
make a
senile
statement?
bastard. Oh, I was pissed.
But he made a statement, and he got that team going.
They got rid of Vilma.
Okay, exactly. You make the statement. You tell them who's in charge. That's it.
It's not
You
like
don't
Aaron
like
Rodgers
it?
is 33 years
Lump it.
old.
Yeah. You don't like it? There's the
Adios.
highway. There's the door. It's team first.
So now, prime time. If the Jets were doing this, if they go out and give Garrett Wilson an extension in a couple of weeks, are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want Garrett Wilson to be part of the future. Why wouldn't I?
So then, then Aaron Rodgers leaving didn't really impact that, then, did it? The young core didn't leave.
Well, hopefully that's the conversation that we're having in a couple
Well,
of weeks.
your concern is the young core is going to leave.
Trade.
So if the young core actually stays, when their beloved king leaves, it's not really that big of an issue, then, right?
In order for them to want to stay, in my opinion, there has to be some level of success in 2025.
No, in order for them to stay, they have to believe in Aaron Glenn's plan, his vision, and his coaching.
And if they win 6 games, I don't think they're going to believe that.
Right. But we won't know that until next January. So right now, the key for Aaron Glenn is to get the buy-in from all these guys. If they don't buy in, then all right, well, then we got to figure out something else. But
yeah,
they
you
meet
get them
with
to buy in by putting the best possible team on the field.
No, you
and
buy
right
in
now.
Right.
My thought is that they just released the best possible quarterback.
And right now, it's February 10th.
He had
Free
5
agency didn't even
wins.
start yet.
He had 5 wins.
Yeah, with the litany of other issues.
He had 5 wins.
That's it.
Yes,
You
with
take the
everything
good
else,
and you
fuck
take the
mess.
bad. If they had 10 wins, you say he brought us 10 wins. He got us 5 wins. He brought us 5 wins.
It's like the meaningless wins create so much havoc. Oh my God, look how
You
good he
are
played in the
what
year.
your record is.
I don't even care about the meaningless wins.
Yeah.
That's when he played well.
Like I keep saying though
That's
tonight,
right.
like the Jets' issues go way back before Aaron Rodgers. Like it's not like he got here and then all these issues
Well,
started.
they're trying to
happening.
fix those issues. They're trying to set a culture. He's not part of the culture.
New voice, new leader,
You
new captain.
can't teach an old dog new tricks. He's set in his ways, and he has to go.
Like if they hired like Pete Carroll and all these older guys and have all this veterans experience, like maybe I can understand it. With a young staff like this that's going to try to rebuild this way, it doesn't fit, dude. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially with the cap hits. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, cap it.
It's
You got to
huge.
see if you got to get some money in for some free agency, and see who you attract. I'm sure Garrett Wilson's happy with Rodgers is gone because now he'll get the ball.
I'm sure he is too.
I'm sure he is too.
Yeah,
Get
but
wide
the other
open
thing-
every time, and he's forcing the ball to Adams.
But the other thing too is that bringing back Rodgers
As a leader?
bring back Rodgers as a leader and a player that he is, he's only going to want to run a certain kind of offense that he's familiar with. What if that's not the offense they run? What if that's not were you cater to him for 1 year and then change it again?
Or what if he was willing to learn a new offense and they just said fuck off anyway?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, man.
I don't think so.
Square peg and a
What,
round
you
hole.
think he wants to uproot his life and his beautiful home in New Jersey for 1 year?
He's
in
got houses all over the
Tennessee or
country. He's
wherever
got
he goes?
houses all over the
He's
world.
got a beautiful house in
This house in
California.
Jersey means jack shit to him.
Not Jersey.
Dude, would you rather
He
live?
made
You
money
love
on that
Jersey. You're a
house.
Jersey guy.
I can't
He
get out
made
of
money
here
on
fast
that
enough.
house.
He's got houses all
Got a
over
house in Tennessee.
He could get back to California fast enough. Like I'm out later.
Exactly.
He could care about that. But here's my question though: if Rodgers is so valuable and can win so many games this year, how many teams right now are knocking on the door? Like, you know what? We got to go sign Aaron Rodgers just to get rid of him. How many teams are going to want Aaron Rodgers now?
They would have been able to trade him by now.
But I want to know how many teams right now want him.
He'll find a home.
But if he's so great and can win so many games if he can win with the lowly Jets as bad as this team is, who wants him this year to save their organization and take them to the playoffs this year? Who's that team? If the Steelers keep Justin Fields over Aaron Rodgers, what does that mean?
I think a lot of teams rightfully are going to be scared off just because of the media narrative that exists around him.
Oh no way!
They're absolutely
You're gonna be scared off
around him.
Wait,
listen, I disagree with it. I disagree with it.
But no.
All
But
the stuff
answer
that
the
gets said
question
about
though.
him.
If the Steelers, who are a win now team, they're a playoff team right now. Not like the fake the Jets playoff team that they think they're a playoff team. The Steelers are actually a playoff team. If they say, now Aaron Rodgers is available, we're going to bring back Justin Fields instead. What does that tell you?
So what if he does have 3 to 4 teams that are interested? What does that say about the Jets?
No, but answer that question though. That's telling you that they'd rather have Justin Fields, who's accomplished nothing in the NFL, over your guy that's accomplished everything in the NFL. Maybe his time is come and gone.
If teams that are in win now mode that have an opening at quarterback have zero interest in Aaron Rodgers, then yeah, maybe the film does say a lot more than what I'm realizing. Maybe he is completely washed. From what I saw at the end of last year, the numbers that he put up, especially when he was healthy, the way he was moving around, I don't think this is a guy that has completely lost his ability just because he's 42 years old.
So then what teams
Nor
are
do I
knocking
think
on his
he's
door?
a cancer or a problem in the locker room like
Hey.
everyone tries to make it out to be.
Sam Darnold looked good in that last season with Gase. Remember?
Oh, he did.
Look how Darnold's playing now.
What happened after that?
though?
But no, I just want to know. Give me the list of teams right now that should actively pursue Aaron Rodgers because he's now available.
What do you want me to like pull up every team's quarterback situation right now?
I mean, there's teams that are a quarterback away in theory in the eyes of their fans that should want him.
So, but again, though, like, what would you say if 3 or 4 of those teams actually do?
I don't think there is a market for him.
Would that be an indictment then on the Jets if teams that have won are actually looking to talk to him? Would you say that?
I'd like to see that happen first. I'm really curious to see.
If it does, would you say that's an indictment on the Jets?
No.
Jets made a decision. I think they made that decision a long time ago. It wasn't going to be him. That's how I think about it.
Ephraim, have yourself a good night, man.
You as well.
Have a great evening.
Good to see you, man. Bubs is in there, but he's not. His camera's off, so not much you can do with that. So do we want? We have an interesting guy with a cool green background. We got to go with that. I like the background, dude. This guy's got some kind of show or something going on here. He's got like some big
Jets West. There you go.
Big YouTube channel. He's fucking blasting some shit here.
No, not at all. I run an account for like a big video game company, and this is just for me, honestly. But
that setup it's all what Jet helmets behind you. That's a badass setup, man.
Yeah, but it's like the ugly logo from the Gaze era, so I need to upgrade it.
Yeah, you need some new ones.
Yeah, it just makes me sad honestly, any Jets logo makes me sad anytime I look at it.
Well, that's true, man. Now, I like the green light too, man. You gotta give Primetime some pointers, man. Like they look at Primetime. You gotta talk Jets West here. Talk lighting.
Dude, LEDs.
I can get your
He's got the mood lighting.
Yeah, but look, I'm with you, Tyson, in the sense that I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the only way we win. I don't think we're tanking for 2026. The 2026 class is pretty damn strong in terms of quarterbacks. We don't need to get the first overall pick to get a good QB2. Look at the playoffs. How many of these guys were like the second, third, or even like the Super Bowl MVP? What round was he picked in? Second round. Yep. It's about getting the right guy. I love Rodgers. I was pumped as anyone when he came. The reality is it didn't work. And his keeping him and his cap implications for next year is just, we can't work around it. It's going to be a $60 million cap hut if we take it all next year. $60 million. That could be four players that we can sign to surround our incoming rookie. And he flashed at times. There were times where he looked like the guy he was, and I was willing to run through a brick wall for him. But too often, he was locking into Devontae Adams. He was taking the check down. He wasn't pushing the ball downfield. It was hard to watch at times. And the price of $60 million next year it's too much for me to stomach, because if that blows up again, it's going to be harder to get out of this hole. And I just don't think it's worth the risk.
I agree.
I think it's worth the risk just for setting your culture the right way and giving.
What is the culture you're setting, though?
Mm-hmm.
To me, there's a giant difference between winning 6 games next year and winning 10 games next year.
There's no guarantee Rodgers wins 10 games.
Talent that need to be shown how to win. If they actually see the needle moving in the right direction, that the organization's turning shit around, then maybe a lot of these guys want to stay. Maybe
how does Aaron Rodgers guarantee 10 wins? We can't even guarantee to stay healthy.
Nobody guarantees you anything.
Exactly.
A Hall of Fame quarterback that's won his entire life. A Hall of Fame quarterback that has won his entire life.
Hasn't been healthy in 4 years.
Who has a lot of chemistry with a lot of the guys that are coming back on offense. You would think that gives you the best chance to win next year.
He hasn't been healthy in 4 years.
I want to float this, though.
MVP 4 years ago.
I want to float this, though. Okay, when Tom Brady retired from the Buccaneers, they brought in Baker Mayfield. Did anybody think they were going to win a playoff game?
Nope.
He's
been incredible. When
the Seahawks moved on from Russ, did anybody expect Geno Smith to be a Pro Bowl QB that year?
Nope.
Bo Nix in Denver. Again, that's a young guy too. Like,
that's my favorite caller of all time, right here.
but none of those situations can compare to the Jets, though.
Yes, it can.
14 straight years of no playoffs with an inexperienced regime right now.
That's a perfect example.
None of those situations compare to the Jets, though.
No. I don't think the Jets. I mean, you even said I don't think the Jets are barren for. We've seen so many rebuilds. Talent. I think this is a retool. It's not a rebuild. We have a young core.
I agree.
Positions like at core positions, not like some off-ball linebacker that we keep bringing back. This is like a core cornerback, a bona fide wide receiver 1. We got edge rushers. At least 2 edge rushers. We still need a ton of help on that D line, but the pieces are there. We need to retool. And then next year, we really, really lock into our QB of the future, or we find the Geno Smith of this year. We find the Baker Mayfield of this year, the Sam Darnold of this year. Maybe that's a Justin Fields. Maybe it's a Jared Stidham. I don't know anything about that guy, but he's familiar with our system. Our guys in our building know who he is. And maybe like a pairing of him with Tyrod can win us, up to 10 wins. And if you look at what's been going on with this league, it really has been a shift, particularly this year, to like a more run game, like creative runs and stuff, leaning on the runs. It's not just pass. Last year, all we did was pass. We didn't even attempt to really establish a big run game. I'm sure Keith Carter played a huge role in that, but how much of that was Rodgers opting out of the run so he can like get targets to DeMonte? How much was that? We don't know, but I think we have three studs, three dogs in that running back room. We have a guy from the best running game or one of the best running games in the league last year as our OC. We just need a guy who can handle his shit, drive the ball down, lean on the run game. And I really think we can surprise a lot of people.
Play good defense.
Especially.
No, dude, I'm completely with you, man. Like we said, they have some talent. You coach up that talent, you maximize it. I'm not scared of the word rebuild. And I liked what Jets West said himself. He said it's a retool.
I think the team wants it to be a retooling. But like I keep saying, though, if you don't experience some level of success in 2025, it's going to very quickly become a full-on rebuild.
You're assuming that it's going to automatically be a failure now that Rodgers is gone. Why?
I'm not saying it's automatically, but now you're trying to replace a quarterback that does have some chemistry with a lot of these guys.
You've been saying
that his entire life. Like, why can't he do that now if you're actually fixing the other issues from last year?
You're assuming that the only chance to win this year is Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think that's true.
But you're assuming that unknown quarterback A is going to lead the Jets to what?
Because I can find the plan to make that work. What he just talked about. We have talent, play great defense, run the ball, get a game manager, build your program the right way, more financially responsible without that huge cap hit. It's not Aaron Rodgers from 5 years ago. He's been hurt every year and he's getting older. He's got to learn a new offense. You're delaying the inevitable. You're going to delay it one more year for what? Say maybe we can do this. Maybe you can do it with somebody else too.
That's another good point about the new offense. We're taking Lions offense with us. There's so much motion in that offense. Rodgers hates motion. He's just such a bad fit for that system. And I think that was probably, I remember seeing a tweet. I can't find it, but someone said there was like philosophical differences. That was ultimately the reason why they parted. Glenn and Mogi, whatever he's called. That's why they decided to go the way they were. Like Glenn was, I don't have many sources, but one guy told me Glenn was actually like pretty like open to like Rodgers back at least some point, and something changed. Maybe that was it. Maybe Rodgers was not buying into their system, their offensive system, what they wanted to do.
You can't cater.
And I'd feel better about it if it came from that place.
But you can't cater to me. Like the Jets went above and beyond catering to him and giving him his everything from players to play calling to his coaches. That has to change, man. This is a great call. Why don't you call him more often, man? What the hell have you been?
Dude, so I've been working a ton, and this year they finally got some help for me, so I'm not working 80 hours a week. But I've been listening. You guys are the OG for me. I've been listening to you guys on Spotify or Apple Music, whatever, which one I was listening to. I typed in Jets podcast. You guys were the first to come up. I've been listening to you ever since. I love the chaos. I love the takes.
It's all him. I'm the nice guy.
More recently, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys introduced me.
You were the one always bringing the chaos.
You guys introduced me to V-Man too, and that's a saga.
Sorry,
that's we can't help with that one.
Yeah. Thank you guys for taking my call. I'm gonna try to call in some more now that I have a little bit more free time.
Awesome, man.
Keep up the great work.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Great call, man. Nothing to say. Love the show. Well, thank you, man. We appreciate it. So, we kicked it off with two very good callers. Do you want to continue the trend?
Let's get a little chaos, and then we'll go back to some good.
Sure.
ones.
We have a pretty good trend going right now.
All right, if you want to keep it going, we can.
Treasure to the committee. Nah. What are we doing here? What is it in your hand? What is that?
What do you?
Oh, it's a magnet. It's a magnet my sister got me on one of her last trips to Puerto Rico. But I just put it there. We actually got shit to talk about. All right. Well,
your first sentence included Puerto Rico. You couldn't even go with your first thought without having to mention it. How did that happen?
I don't know. Right. So I would ask you, how you guys enjoy the Super Bowl?
It was boring.
I hated it.
What were your fixings? What were the fixings you had?
Fixings? Bar
Yeah,
food.
your food.
Buffalo chicken dip, buffalo wings, high noons.
I made empanadas.
Of course.
What?
Of course. Of course you did.
So I was gonna ask you. I want
course
to
you
ask. I want to ask you this question, Private. I was neutral on the Rodgers thing.
I like your sweatshirt, by the way. That hoodie's nice.
Yeah, no, I got this for Christmas. So yeah, unfortunately, I can't find my matching Jets hat. It's disappeared right now. We're the old school one.
Carry on your conversation with Primetime. I'm just gonna sit and referee.
Okay, so I want to ask you this question.
Go for it.
Who's gonna have more talent, or who's gonna have more talent? So the Jets going into 2025. So who's gonna have more talent? The Jets going into 2025, or the Bills going when they were going into 2017?
I don't. Bills
Sorry,
in 2017. Like, let me Google their roster in 2017. I don't fucking know.
I want to ask you, who had more talent?
All right, let me take a second to actually Google Bills roster 2017 so I can answer your question.
You're asking about a team from 8 years ago?
No, what I'm saying is the point you're saying you can't win with Tyrod, and let's be honest, that I'm pretty sure we can sit here and say that the 2017 Bills were not a powerhouse roster.
Okay, so the 2014 New York Jets with Geno Smith as a rookie quarterback still won 8 games. Should we have
that
higher
was
rank?
that was the 2013 roster.
But whatever.
Can we have like a? You wanted this caller. I wanted to go to Bubs.
And I regret it already.
What I'm trying to say. No, what I'm trying to say here is, look.
Do you have a current reference we can use, like a team from like this
What
year?
you're trying to say is that 8 years ago, Tyrod Taylor won some games with the Buffalo Bills. So now, 8
they
years
won
later,
9
you can
games.
do it with the
9
Jets.
games. Like I said, you can win with the saying that you can't win with Tyrod. I think this roster is capable. This roster is a capable roster. And look, you don't need.
So why can't Aaron Rodgers win with it?
Look, you just don't. Yeah, but the thing is, Rodgers is also expensive. He's aging. Let's be honest, Tyrod
Can't stay healthy.
Played all 17 games last year.
Yeah, but he wasn't healthy. It's like you could clearly tell. You could clearly tell the injuries were.
Yeah, because Tyron Smith was getting him fucking killed.
Yeah, look. Like I said, I was neutral on the move. I wasn't gonna, complain either way. So, I'm sitting here telling you, if the talent around him is capable, then this idea that you can't win with him, I think, is absurd. Like, if you have a solid roster around him, smart coaching that, can help this team minimize shooting themselves in the foot, because that was the ultimate. That was what lost them all these games.
What quarterback out there gives the Jets a better chance to win more games than Aaron Rodgers?
But also,
hold on. What is that? How many games?
That answer?
No, but I want to know. I want you to clarify for V-Man. V-Man's my friend. And I'm protecting him. What is this? What is this number to Aaron Rodgers to win this year? What's the assumption he's going to win this year? 11 games?
I'm not making any assumptions. I'm asking what quarterback out there gives the Jets a better chance to win than Aaron Rodgers does.
But how many games is he going to win though? What's the standard?
I don't think it's unrealistic to say 10, 11 games. If we were all putting 12, 13,
so the
14
Jets are
on last year's team,
the Jets are playoff roster right now.
Saleh, now you have a top 10 pick you're throwing into the mix. You're bringing Devontae Adams back, assuming they were keeping it all together. Why wouldn't that roster be able to win at least 10, 11 games?
But hold on. You're telling me the Jets, as they're currently constructed, with Aaron Rodgers on the roster, are a playoff team?
I think they could be if they're better coached. If Aaron Glenn is the real deal as a head coach, I don't see why they couldn't win 10, 11 games with Aaron Rodgers leading things.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Why is that crazy to say?
Tyson, do you need me to get this to you through the camera?
I need Casamigos at this point.
Why is that crazy to say? Every prediction last year was at least 12 wins for this team,
and
right?
we were grossly wrong.
Because of what?
Because the defensive line is a shell of itself. We have no safeties. We're going to have no linebackers. We need receivers. We need all these things. The Jets
and
were
how you get those things?
They're not a win out team this year.
And you know how you and Tyson, how do you get linemen? How do you get receivers? How do you get all those players? Dinero.
Exactly. The cap space waits on Rodgers next year.
Yeah, and exactly. And what happened? What's the problem with Rodgers?
11 games? I
don't think 10, 11. You have 4/5 of your offensive line coming back. You have 2 number 1 receivers, 2 legitimate number 1 running backs. Why couldn't that team
money to bring in
players?
players?
New offense.
You need money to bring in new players. You need money to bring in players that you lost. like I said, so and Rodgers is sucking up a lot of that money from his contract. So,
They're still taking a massive cap hit by cutting him. Oh,
but
it's
you're
less.
still also going to save some money,
We're still gonna have to pay for another quarterback.
You already have it
Or
on the
you could-
roster.
Oh, yeah.
It's cheap.
or who knows?
Exciting.
We'll see. Like I said, I was neutral on this move. Like I said, you need to clear some. Like I said, I was neutral on this move. I was not going to complain either way.
So then,
But I
in prime time's world, you're gonna pay Devontae Adams $38 million this year.
It would have to be negotiated again. I'm not saying
So then
I
when
wouldn't pay him $38 million.
You know, Rodgers
I
is
think
gone.
if Rodgers was coming back, he would negotiate. Absolutely.
No, man. Like, if it wasn't this cold, it wasn't freezing outside, I'd probably stop for a cigar break. But it's too damn cold for that.
D-Man, I gotta give you credit. This is the first time in probably a year I agree with you completely. This is your best
But
call.
like I said, look, you need money for players. Getting rid of Rodgers is going to save you some money so that you can get those players. Like, look, I'm just sitting here saying.
So if you're a free agent this year,
you can win. You can
You're a
win
free
with
agent this
Tyrod.
year.
You can win with
you want to
Tyrod.
come to the Jets?
What?
If you're a free agent this year, you want to come to the Jets?
If you pay him,
Yeah,
Patriots have more money than how many other teams? Would you rather go play for Vrabel or Aaron Glenn?
who pays the most? That's where they go.
And who's
Yeah,
probably going to be able to pay the
ultimately,
most?
yeah. And you also got to remember. It's an owner
Exactly,
that
Prime Time. Next year, when they're paying Aaron Rodgers $60 million in there, who's going to be paying the most? Not the Jets.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about
but
this- I'm talking about this year now.
rebuild.
Yeah, but
talking about this year right now.
what is
Exactly.
what is
Exactly.
Robert
I'm looking at the
Kraft
big
known
picture,
for?
not 1 year. That's the difference.
It's how
And
it
what
starts, though, right?
is
We started
what
off
is
the
the
right way.
biggest gripe? What is the biggest gripe against Robert Kraft? He's stingy. He doesn't like doling.
What?
You just hired Vrabel.
No, I'm just saying.
What?
The Patriots fans, they'll say Robert Kraft doesn't pay for big players.
They won how many Super Bowls with Robert Kraft? They paid Vrabel a ridiculous amount of money to come here. And they fired a coach after 1 year to do so. All right, you're going in the wrong direction.
But look, like I said, look.
I'm not looking anymore. That was it. It's going downhill now. He started out strong, but now it's going to shit. What's up,
Saying It's
man?
a great call.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on, guys.
I wanted to bring you on before that call, but Primetime overruled me. So
It's my bad.
No problem. Need a little chaos, I guess.
he wanted it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised with this move at all. He kind of knew this was coming. And still, of course, a lot of uproar, even though this has kind of been the move that we knew was coming for about a month now. I think from Glenn's perspective, yeah, he's trying to set his own culture. He's trying to get rid of that whole country club environment that was with this team the last couple seasons, especially under Rodgers, where they were catering to pretty much everything, whether it was the Cobb stuff, Hackett, Dalvin Cook, all those moves, bringing over Lazard. I think he's just trying to really fumigate that and start it his way and build it his way. I also think Muji, right? I just saw going from Denver, you paid $39 million. They got rid of Ross. They cut bait $39 million last year. He was making $40 million, 39 from Denver, and they were still able to compete in 2024. Ideally, you look at that with the Jets, right? You're going to 49 million rather in dead cap. If it's pre-June 1, it's 49. I think if it's post-June 1, it's like 15 and 34 or something like that.
Yep.
So you just eat it now, you move on, and then you try and find I'm not saying they're going to find their Bo Nix, and I know it's a little bit different because they had Sean Payton, proven guy, but you try and still build this roster up similar to you find Glenn's culture guys. You kind of build, figure out the linebacker a little bit more, bring in some safeties, help beef up the trenches, defensive line. You need better depth on the offensive line, and you move forward. And I still, ideally with, this new system, you hope that Tanner Engstrand can utilize Brees a little bit better. Tyrod, we saw and I know that's 8 years ago, right? He's 36 now. It is a little bit different from where he's coming from Buffalo, but he is a guy that was able to bridge. And I think still ideally you can try and compete next year because we're all sick of losing. I think ideally you compete next year, try and make the playoffs. And then you do what Bills did. Good general managers find talent. If that means trading up, you trade up. So it's I'm not surprised with it. I understand both sides of the argument. I understand the idea of winning, and we all want to win. And I think, bringing Rodgers back, you can make a strong case that they can win, but like you mentioned, Tyson, it's February 10th. We still have to see how they build this roster. Which is Tyrod the guy? You know, do they bring in another rookie? Do they find their, you know, quarterback? Do they find that guy this year? Do they find it next year? There's still a lot of time, and we're still a month out from free agency. I think if you bring in the right pieces for this culture and you move on from this country club culture that was here with Saleh, and you get guys that buy in and believe, you're going to be able to win games, right? You know, we talked about it last year, right? You can have the most talent in the world. If guys are playing for the name on the back of their jersey, it's not going to matter. You need guys that want to play for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back. And, you know, this team had a lot of me guys last year. I'm not saying Rodgers was one of them, but talk about all the talent and all this stuff. You need guys that are bought in, and ideally Glenn can bring that in. And whether it's a quarterback that is not as high of a level as Rodgers, you can still find a way to win if you have a guy if you have a team that's bought in, and hopefully Glenn can do that. We don't know. We don't know what Muji is. We don't know what Glenn is. I like the move to bring in Spielman, but
exactly why I wanted the veteran quarterback.
You got Tyrod Taylor's a veteran.
The veteran quarterback that's actually played with a lot of these guys that are coming back.
Tyrod Taylor played with him.
And I'll just say this.
He played a game last year.
Practiced with them. He didn't play with them.
He played.
I'll just say this
when Rodgers took all those time off, he was there practicing, hanging out.
The 2 days in Egypt.
The Egypt trip.
He's still there.
I haven't brought that up yet.
And I'll just say this.
I'm above that kind of petty stuff.
Okay, hope so.
I'll say this too. Glenn,
not Rex Ryan.
Like, I'm so sick of these guys going on social media. That's a whole nother thing with this culture stuff too.
Me
Enough
too.
with the social media. Quit going on there. It's just so like high school, college nonsense. Going on there, tweeting stuff out, then deleting your account or deleting the post. And I think he deleted the account or took it down.
He deleted his account.
Yeah, see the account. So I'm
that was a culture that Saleh enabled. He was a player's coach, wanted everybody to be comfortable, one big happy family, and he lost complete control of the locker room. They just did whatever they wanted to. He got fired. They all gave up, and it was it. Everybody's out for themselves, and the results showed for themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just the locker room saying that wasn't the problem that you just got rid of.
Oh, and this is the coach saying, you know what? I'll tell you the solution. So sit back and enjoy the ride. I'm the sheriff now, not you. I'm the boss.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this team needs. They need a hard-nosed coach. They can't have a guy that's just going to cater to everything they want. You need, look, if you're bought in, you're bought in. If you're not, get out.
Exactly.
They need. So that's
this is a great call. I love it.
Look, I understand both sides of it. I'm not so happy they got rid of Rodgers. I also don't hate the move. I understand both sides of it. I just think it's going to come down to if they can build this culture the right way. And they have the guys, because last year we all said it, right? Oh, this team's loaded with talent. The coaching was terrible. If you improve the coaching and you have competent average quarterback play from Tyrod, I still don't think it's crazy that this team can compete and win. Like, can we utilize Breece Hall properly?
Yep.
How about that too? I mean, the guy never had 20 carries in a game last year. Let's utilize him a little bit better. You know, when Davante Adams came over while he was solid, you look at the numbers because you do need context to that stuff. After Davante Adams came over here, Garrett Wilson kind of turned into a number 2. Just the reality of it.
Which is why he wanted out.
Yeah. And I think ideally that stuff starts to change. Now they have a lot of work to do in the receiver room. Tight end, they need some help.
The defensive line, dude.
Defensive line, yeah. They need to improve a lot of areas. And I think too, just in terms of like beefing up this roster, you got to, again, look for those culture guys, whether that's, you know, a couple years ago, they tried to do that. Like that was like the Sheldon Rankins of the world, the Quan Alexanders, like those type of guys to come back in, kind of have that 2022 feel again, except hopefully you get, you know, Zach
you got to
Wilson,
figure Aaron Glenn's going to bring in some of his guys too, though. He's going to bring in his own type of guys with his mindset, like Rex did, everybody did, you know, when they brought in Bart Scott and Jimmy Leonard. Yep. And Parcells did it with all his guys too, like the Byers and, you know, they all do it. He's going to have to bring in. That's going to ruffle some feathers too. Like, listen, there's a new voice in the locker room. CJ Mosley's probably going to be gone. Jamie Sherwood could be gone too, based on the money he's going to get. You never know. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
I'd expect both Glenn and Muji to bring in, you know, those guys.
Absolutely. You
know, both guys that are, or both of them bringing guys from whether it's Denver, whether it's I don't see that happening either. He's going to go out west to a team that's
he's going to be on the same plan as Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Where do you think Rodgers ends up?
I don't think he plays. I think
he plays, and he will win 11, 12 games wherever he goes, because that's just what
in the UFL.
Just get rid of quarterbacks.
Is he going to the UFL? He's going to play for the Rock.
See, I think I don't know, the fact that he flew all the way out to Jersey to speak, it feels like that would show that he's still interested in playing.
Yep.
It feels like if he wasn't interested in playing, or maybe he just wanted to come back to the Jets, and maybe his options are so dried up. Like, we'll have to see
You
what
got
his
you
market
got
is,
dude,
but
you got to think that his agent is putting feelers out there. Like, all right, if this happens, is there any interest across the league from my client?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if the Steelers keep Justin Fields over Rodgers, that speaks volumes, enormous, because that's a playoff team. Justin Fields hasn't accomplished shit in the NFL.
But again, would it speak volumes if they signed him?
Well, it's a win now team. They're taking a chance, and there's no guarantee they're going to go to playoffs with him. But then he has a market. I want to see this market for Aaron Rodgers. I don't think there is one.
I think there will be.
now you think where do you think they take a quarterback? You think they do a wait to day 2, day 3?
Yeah.
Do you maybe, I mean, just going back to
I don't think so. You know what? The one guy that I'm taking credit for this, I know that Ian mentioned the Hendon Hooker from the Lions.
yeah.
Is really interesting too. If they cut him, young player, low risk, high reward kind of guy. I think the Jets can take flyers on the guys like that. You're not committed to them next year in the draft class, because next year's draft class is loaded, man. It's loaded with quarterbacks. So you don't want to see a guy this year, like a project this year, like high. So you take a quarterback in this 3rd round, like, oh, we got our 2nd round. And like, oh, we got to keep him. We can't draft somebody else. We already have him.
That's what happened with Hackenberg. Yeah.
Don't want to do that, dude. Like, you want to take a project, like take a shot on a guy in a 5th round, cool. But next year, if that guy's there, if you're taking him and not looking back, ever.
And especially again, first time head coach, first time GM, like the last thing you want them worrying about this year, on top of everything else they're going to be trying to do, is developing a young quarterback. So.
Especially in a weak quarterback class too, where there's not any like legitimate like game breaking guy can be in front of him.
No, I mean, everybody's going to hype up. He's getting already all this.
Dude, those first 2 picks got to be non-quarterbacks. They just have to be. They can't be quarterbacks. No way.
Yeah. Unless if they take. Oh no.
How's your channel doing, Ben? Talk about your channel for a little bit. How's your channel doing?
Yeah, it's doing good. It's just Bubs on Sports on YouTube. We got
you do a lot of
mock
interviews.
drafts starting up on next Monday, kind of with draft season and stuff. Now we have the answer on the quarterback. So
can I ask you a question? I'm really curious about this. How do you do a mock draft when you don't know what happens in free agency?
Yeah, it's just fire. I just fire up the simulator and go off the team needs. No, I don't listen to all the rumors and stuff. I just each week I like to highlight a different player. So Mason Graham,
best player available. That's what he does.
Yeah. Yep. Go Abdul Carter. Take a look at Tet McMillan. Just
that's 7.
I like to. Yeah, I highlight as many as I can, just to like last year highlighted Olu. Looked at who was it? Fuaga.
So how much tape do you watch?
Typically like a day before, I'll watch the 1st round guy that I'm selecting, and then.
But how much of that first guy do you watch? How many games do you watch?
I'll watch typically a game or 2 before. Like I'll watch
the YouTube highlights
for a 1st round. I'll watch like a game or 2, game and a half or 2.
That's it.
And then for one video, and then usually typically towards the end of closer to draft season, I kind of continue to watch, and I do like my final mock right before.
So if you have the guy that you want the Jets to take at number 7, how many of his games are you actually going to watch?
Like now or by the end of it?
By the draft.
By the draft. Ideally, I try and get as like a season in.
Okay,
most recent season.
Because
I don't I'm not a big. I mean, I'll look back at a guy's previous season, but mostly I like to just look at it.
All right, you saved yourself, because I'm like, you watch one game and I'm gonna just rip your mouth.
No, yeah, I mean, before I do one episode, I'll do a game or 2. I'm not gonna do a full season. And
he could be our new draft expert, prime time. We need a new one.
We need one.
All right, we got.
I've gone more into the draft. Just it's it's big
business.
Yeah, big board.
Have a good night, man.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Be good, Bubs.
He started to sweat there a little bit, didn't he? He's like,
the pressure on him.
He's like, I watch tape. How many games? Well, I watch at least 1. Okay.
Was it their sophomore year, their junior year?
You see him sweat though? He started looking down, looking for his notes. Like, how do I answer this question correctly? Shit.
Hello.
What happened to him?
What?
He's in darkness.
Where'd Random Man go? He's gone. What the hell?
He's on the Aaron Rodgers retreat.
What is he doing? Is this a prank call?
What's funny is his picture was You saw that, right? His picture
He
was still there in the
he must
studio.
have
He was
froze.
like,
All right. So we go from one draft expert to another. What's up, man?
uh-oh.
Hey, how are you doing, guys?
No, you're
I'm doing
happy
great.
today.
You don't seem happy to see me, PT. That's crazy.
No, I'm not. How you doing? No, I'm always happy to see you.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I'm a little happy, a little bit.
You can say
After
it,
what happened 2 weeks ago or something.
It was everything you wanted. You know it.
Well, it is. It is. I can't lie. I feel like, to me, this shows at least a sense of a plan and a sense of direction. You know, the fact that we've gone out and it didn't just happen this week; it happened a week ago. And I like the fact that at least we're able to keep it under wraps for a full week. And I don't think the leak came from the Jets, because all the beat reporters were stuck just oh no, there's nothing that came out, and then the beat were getting crushed and on their Twitter replies for having no sources. New regime, hopefully that they're keeping shit under wraps. But I think that this shows to me a plan. This is more of a plan to me than the idea of bringing Rodgers back, hoping to, I get what you're saying with your idea of winning and stuff like that, and culture. I'm not sure I agree with the ceiling that we believe that the Jets have with Rodgers, but I understand what you're saying. But I don't think that.
But before you agree with the plan, don't you have to see what the plan is and like who they actually bring in at quarterback?
No, I'm not saying I agree with the plan. I'm saying this to me shows more of a plan than the idea of hoping Rodgers gets you 10 wins, 11 wins, breaks your playoff streak, and then you're looking at next year. You don't have Rodgers. You've now spread out a $60 million plus more cap hit, depending on how much the pay cut he actually takes. Even if he takes a big pay cut, because unless he's taking basically all his money off, like Drew Brees did for the Saints, you're still not even getting a lot of help for that. And then hoping that you're able to add around a young quarterback or a retooled quarterback from free agency, and then still be building up the team the way you need to with all the money we need, right? And for all the salary cap isn't real, people. The cap has been real. I've been saying about the Saints for years. Look at them right now.
They're a mess.
Look how many coaches have no interest in that job. Ask yourself, when's the last time a free agent went to the Saints? They haven't, because outside of Carr. Yeah, Carr wasn't, and besides, Carr wasn't even, I'm talking like
Speaking of
big
Derek
mobile
Carr.
guy. Okay, I didn't think Carr was Carr didn't make a ton of money, if we're being honest. If you look at his contract numbers, like they made that with like a 2 year and then thing, or 2 or 3 years and then thing, right?
Okay.
My point was, the Saints haven't been splashing a lot of money in free agency. What they do every year is try their hardest to get just above, to get enough to draft their guys, and then they're making bargain signings throughout the whole time. They're holding on to all those old players. They're kicking cap money down every single year. And now you're looking at a team where I was seeing Saints fans saying, Aaron Glenn can become our coach. And if he just accepts the first 2 years as rebuilding and getting all the money off, then we can start winning 3 years down the line. And people was like, who wants that? What coach would ever accept a job knowing that you're punting on the first 2 seasons because you have to get money off the books? And so my point is this, right? If you build your situation, not worrying about the cap, not worrying about anything, not worrying about, for example, like draft pick stuff. If you win, it's great. If you don't win, you're stuck in hell. And the Jets right now have put all our eggs in the Rodgers basket, and I was fine with that. I'm not gonna be like, I thought that was a bad move. Everyone was fine with that. We understood what it was, right? But once it's shown that he tears his Achilles, it sucked. No one wanted that, and this year happens. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. You have to move on. And the thing to me is, well, I'd say one thing that you mentioned. You said Rodgers chose us. Even looking back 3 years ago, we were uncontested chasers of Rodgers.
That's true.
We were
they couldn't develop a quarterback.
I'm not saying we didn't have to be. I'm not saying
what other options did they really have?
PT. I'm saying you're saying Rodgers chose us.
He did.
He did. Yeah, I mean, he chose us over retirement. He didn't choose us over another football team.
You're telling me a year off of being MVP, he wouldn't have had other options where he could have started?
He didn't. We were the only team that flew out to California to meet him.
If he wanted to go to the Patriots, you don't think Belichick
We're the only team
for a year?
We're the only team that had Hackett.
Bill Belichick, the king of arrogance himself,
Yes.
who was like, I can do this without Tom Brady, is gonna go running to Aaron Rodgers? No, there's no way.
You're out of your mind if you don't think he would have had a starting job a year removed from being an MVP.
Why was the only starting job he had the Jets?
He wanted the Jets.
We're the only team that catered to his every need.
And we kicked the Packers' ass that year too. He saw that. He actually believed in Salah's bullshit.
A lot of teams kicked the Packers' ass that year.
Yeah, that's true.
Including Aaron Glenn's defense on the Lions that stopped them from playoff contention.
Yep. Oof, that's a good line right there, Java. That's a good one. Oof.
All right, so
That was a good one right
I'll
there.
talk about the Lions defense at the end this year.
But Aaron Rodgers is a winner, except against Aaron Glenn's defense.
I mean,
Guy wins for 2 decades, but let's cherry.
No,
pick
the
the
Jets he
loss.
didn't. You live in the past, my friend.
Look
Yeah.
what he walked into.
we got to
He
stop
played
also.
1 year. Let's be real about that.
I all these excuses with I think
Facts.
okay, you say facts, right? But then when we get to the offensive side, it's a lot of excuses though. Like if we want to. Okay, so one thing I see a lot of people talking about, and it's the thing that one thing I dislike. I'm not saying you've done this, PT. Is I know you if you've been on Twitter, you've seen it that they have the head-to-head like statistical comparison of
like
Rodgers
him and Josh Allen, right?
Josh Allen.
It's
Oh
ridiculous.
my gosh!
No, completely different quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Completely different.
and even comparing Rodgers to other quarterbacks and stuff, it loses context because Rodgers has the second most attempts in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
You look at all the quarterbacks around him who had similar attempts, outside of Mahomes, who played a full game less, and also was in a Chiefs offense that lost everything they had. They were bringing back Kareem Hunt, who just got cut from the Browns of all teams to be their starting running back. All those other quarterbacks had way more yards than Rodgers. This year was Rodgers' lowest yards of attempt. Air yards his whole career, right? Even talking about like the Jets offense and saying that the defense wasn't good enough. You know, if we had this same offensive output with last year's defense, you know what our point differential is?
What's that?
Like -30.
Again, I think it speaks to all the issues that there were last year, including receivers dropping balls, penalty. Like there was not one thing that was right with the New York Jets in 2020.
I would love to know how many of Rodgers yards he got in garbage time.
And we're talking about receivers.
The game is out of hand.
You're talking about receivers dropping balls, right? I can easily talk for as many drops as the Jets have. There were more passing plays where Rodgers just missed a guy.
Absolutely.
Or just throwing behind someone. You're talking about, you mentioned chemistry, right?
Yep.
I didn't see any great chemistry. I didn't see any great chemistry between Rodgers and really anyone in the Jets last year. Even Devontae Adams and his best friend, his great guy living in the house. In week 18, he's still throwing balls where Adams is running down the field and the ball is passing his head and he turned around like, huh? What happened? What chemistry? What chemistry have we built?
That was the MetLife wind.
He quit.
Aaron Rodgers. No, it was the rain. It was the rain and the MetLife wind. There's two things.
Aaron Rodgers came to the Jets to elevate our young talent and to bring Garrett Wilson to superstardom. Which of our young players, which of any players did he really elevate?
Nobody.
Not through a fault of his own, though. I don't think.
But you're saying that he's the guy who's going to come help this young staff and lead the team and do all these things.
I absolutely think he's the right leader for a first-time head coach and GM and offensive coordinator. I completely agree with that. I do.
Aaron Rodgers showed in Green Bay that he would throw a first-time head coach.
Who are the guys that are like speaking out that are like, thank God this guy's gone. He was a cancer. He was an issue in the locker room.
Nobody's going to do that.
You don't know. There's a lot of guys out there who were just terrible people and terrible players who are great friends. The people love him. And Mekhi Becton beats with the Jets all the time. All the Jets players who talk about him is just like, what an amazing guy. We love him. We're so happy for you. So the Jets fans, you fans can view someone different from the players, and the players in the locker room can also, they don't have the same perspective we have, right? And you see that all the time in sports in general, where there's a guy where you view and it's like, this guy's a cancer, and everyone loves him. Kyrie Irving, it's a great example of that. If you want to compare sports and stuff like that,
that's a good one.
And I'll say, and speaking on Rodgers, right, where you're talking about, he's willing to accept the new coaching and the new system and all this stuff. To me, he missed his chance because last year was his chance because he got hurt, right? I'm not blaming him for tearing his Achilles. That's a freak injury, but it happens, right? He gets hurt. He's in California for basically all the season. Robert Saleh's in that building. All those players are in that building. He sees what's happening with the offense. He sees the Hackett has no clue what he's doing. He wants to fire Hackett in the offseason. He can't. Why not? Because we all know Aaron Rodgers didn't want that to happen.
I don't know about that.
No.
So the head coach wants to fire
him. Come on, prime time.
Who's the reason we're keeping Hackett then?
Oh, oof.
Instead, we're trying to get Arthur Smith to join us, telling him you can be in an oversight role over Hackett, but your title won't be offensive coordinator, but you'll really be the offensive coordinator.
This is your best call ever. This is easily your best call. You came prepared tonight.
Willie Johnson wasn't the one who did that. That was Rodgers. And this team, him and his best friend Hackett, came into this season with no offensive game plan. I see people saying all the pass attempts is because this team's trailing. There's been 9 teams in the NFL who had a worse margin of loss than the Jets. The Jets finished like 20 run attempts less than anyone else in the NFL. So all those teams are getting blown out way more than the Jets. They're still running the ball. They're still finding ways to run the ball. All the Jets did was pass because that's what he wanted. That's what they wanted.
Oof, he come with stats too.
Excuse that.
Oof, stats. You know how you're doing well. Primetime's speechless now. He's defeated.
Because what else am I gonna say? What else am I gonna say at this point?
These are stats.
This is not
numbers.
I'm saying we're looking at. I'm hearing
This
people
is proving my point, though. This is acknowledging everything that was wrong last year. Head coach, quarterback, changing the head coach 5 games into the season, changing play callers, the accountability issue. Everything fucking went wrong, and it's not like these things have been going on just because Aaron Rodgers got here. This has been the New York Jets for 12 years prior to him.
What about this year?
No one is. You want to say something?
Yeah, you're on a roll, bro. I'm
just saying that Aaron Rodgers is the big problem for all of this. I'm not. You didn't catch me say that one time that I said Aaron Rodgers is the reason that the Jets have this drought. That Aaron Rodgers is everything that's been wrong with the New York Jets. But Aaron Rodgers, 1, he has not been a solution. 2, there's no guarantee. We're acting like the world is ending because Aaron Rodgers is not going to be back on the Jets.
Who's your quarterback then?
You find one. And my point is, I don't know. One, I don't know who their quarterback is. I'll be honest. I don't.
They have a plan. They 1,000% have a plan.
You have to have a plan. You can't enter this thinking there's no one they're targeting. There's no one they're interested in. At least if they're not thinking they're at least comfortable with the idea of Tyrod Taylor playing. Right? You can't just make this move.
I'm sure they had a plan going into the head coaching search, which included Vrabel and other guys who didn't want the job, who wouldn't interview here, and then we end up settling. So is that going to happen at quarterback? How do we know? I mean, they might have a plan for A, B, C, who they want. Are those guys going to want to come in?
Why is it always worst case scenario in your world, Primetime?
Why is it always best case scenario?
Isn't it more fun to have hope than
14 years to deserve best case scenario?
Because I don't give a fuck about when this is a whole new regime. I don't give a shit about the last 14 years of losing. It's a new regime with a new mindset, new attitude, and you say you get the benefit of the doubt. They get the benefit of the doubt until they give me a reason not to. Right now, I'm like, you know what? I like the way they're handling things. I think they're intelligent enough to have a plan and say, you know what? We know if we make a controversial move like removing Aaron Rodgers from our roster, we better have a good plan B and plan B and C because we have to get credibility within the locker room. They know that. They're not dumb. Right?
The locker room's buying into this move?
I don't care what the locker room.
February 10th.
The locker room has been buying into a lot of BS for years. The locker room doesn't know what to buy into.
They bought into Salah's bullshit for 3 years.
I mean, I love Quinnen. Quinnen is one of my favorite players in the Jets. I hope he's here. I hope he's a Jet for life. Quinnen Williams has seen nothing but incompetent coaching at the NFL level. He's seen nothing but locker rooms that stink at the NFL level. What does Quinnen Williams know about what's actually bringing him wins? Last year, all these players, Quinnen included, they came out and they told you everything you wanted to hear. And we're all on the hype train. We think this is all going amazing. We underperformed everywhere.
Everywhere.
We did.
We did not overperform offensively. There's no the only few players in the offense who actually overperform are on the offensive line. Outside of them, I'm looking around at all of them, and no one lived up to my expectations.
But look, not even the offensive line. Look at the entire team. There's not many guys that actually exceed
on the offensive side, though.
I'm just saying the overall team itself is what Sherwood.
Yeah,
the guys. There's not many guys that like holy shit. They played past what we expected. There's not a lot of guys overall anywhere that did that.
Will McDonald did at least.
Will McDonald too? Okay, we got 2 out of 22. Great.
So when you're looking at the team, this is something where it's something I dislike a lot. And you look around the NFL, right? You don't see often a ton of teams where guys are just openly lobbying for things. And the ones who do it, who can get away with it, are typically quarterbacks. Look at Joe Burrow. He's going on his media tour saying that the Bengals need to go sign T. Higgins and Hendrickson and all these guys. I guarantee you the Bengals re-sign all those guys. You can book them to miss the playoffs 3 of the next 4 years as well because shit ain't happening. Yep. They need to make smart decisions. They need people who aren't the players making the decisions. The players, look, you can have your input. Don't come out here and put that on social media. Don't go to another rebuild year for me. So what was last year? It was a competing year. It's a contending year, huh?
That's it.
You were happy with that. Wow, but you can shake hands with your friends, and you can go to golf courses together and have a great time. So it's all fine. Because there's no way.
I still don't agree with putting it on the players, though.
No, I'm not saying you put on the players, but you've already cleared out the coaches.
They've been brought into this culture, and there's been nobody above them, head coach, front office guys, that have corrected it.
So now
They
you
need to
have
be
someone-
shown that. They need to be
now
led the right way.
Now
you
you
saw
have
it with
someone
Coach Heights and
trying to do that.
Parcells. Like, that was the perfect example. We all lived through that, Tyson and I. Like, you saw the difference when young, talented players have a legitimate, respected head coach and how things can change very quickly.
Okay, so you guys mentioned a big name player getting moved, right, from the Parcells team, right?
Yeah, Hugh Douglas.
You don't think there was guys in that locker room thinking, look at this?
They did. They were pissed. I agree.
So the point is, you need to have coaches and a GM who's strong enough to say, I hear what you're saying, I see what you think, but this is what I believe to be right. And
Bingo.
if these are the right coaches anyway, this is going to work out.
100%.
And I hope that they buy into Aaron Glenn's message. I genuinely do. But like I said before, when it's coming from somebody that has multiple Super Bowl rings, I think that decision carries a lot more weight. When it's
How many
coming
rings?
from
How many
somebody
rings?
that-
How many
when
rings
it's
did Dan
coming
Campbell
from
have?
somebody that's never been there before or done it, you're going to look at it a little sideways and be like, "What are we doing here?"
How many rings does Dan Campbell have as a head coach? How many does Nick Sirianni have before yesterday?
No, I know.
They had to make tough decisions. They had to do tough things.
And none of them are walking into the environment that is surrounding the New York Jets.
The Lions were a
None.
disaster.
Not as
They
bad
were,
as the
they were
Jets
worse
have
than
been.
the Jets.
14 str-
Well, at the time, I mean, the Lions are coming off of just like 0-16, having maybe one of the greatest receivers of all time, and finding a way to win. Was it maybe one playoff game with him? Maybe. I mean, the Lions were a terrible team, and they went in there. You know, they said, Matt Stafford, you know, hey, we love you. See you later. You can go. You want to leave? Gone. And
nobody has had the run of losing anywhere close to the level of the New York Jets, nor do they have the issues that the Jets have with ownership.
But you can't
I mean,
you can't
the
admit
Bills
that there
have-
is some similarities with some of these teams that have done things the
I
same
mean,
way.
Sure, the Lions are definitely similar, but I still think it's a completely different environment.
So the
here.
Broncos. The Broncos minus Sean Payton. They took a huge hit on Russell Wilson. He's going. Huge cap hit.
Yeah, and it took Sean Payton to fucking turn it around.
But the plan was what? Great defense, run the ball, and then the young kid figured it out. He was basically game managing for a long period of time until he started opening
Yeah,
up
look
the
who's
offense.
coaching him.
But the plan is the same, though. It's the plan.
PT, all these coaches.
Is it the plan or the execution of the plan?
Same shit.
Everyone has a plan. Can you execute it? Can you execute it when shit gets tough? When shit actually hits the fan, and when Aaron
Absolutely.
Glenn is facing adversity, can he handle it? That's what we don't know yet.
Right.
But you guys are already writing it off.
Exactly.
not.
You're
No, I'm not.
discounting it.
I'm not, though.
We're talking about a player who's kind of shown in some ways when shit hits the fan, all he's going to do is throw other guys under the bus. And I tried to mention this, and I remember what I was going to say. This is a guy who threw one of the coaches, Matt LaFleur, right? He's viewed as one of the best coaches in the NFL right now, right? One of the great offensive minds. He's doing his thing. He wins however many games every year. Matt LaFleur, Rodgers was throwing him under the bus relentlessly for the first few years in Green Bay. He was killing him. They lose in the playoffs. Oh, I didn't like his play call. You know, he didn't want to go. Oh, they didn't go for it. Inside the 10, right? Rodgers he's throwing everyone on the bus. You don't look at me. I'm not the problem. And it doesn't matter if you are the problem or not.
He never takes blame. He never takes blame. I could show you a million press conferences from last year, examples where he took blame.
I
and
can show you press
right back
conferences from last year where he didn't take the blame.
Yeah,
buried Mike
and
Williams.
is that not accountability, though? Is that not accountability? Something that we've screamed about?
As a
Being
quarterback,
able to call out guys if they're not doing their shit?
as a quarterback,
Mike Williams ran a wrong route. Is it the wrong thing to fucking call it out and say it? Or do
okay,
we just keep it locked
no,
up
I'm saying it's
inside?
not the wrong
No,
thing.
it's all right.
But
It's all right.
Rodgers,
You know,
I'll say one, as a quarterback, you stand up there and you just take the blame because that's what we killed Zach Wilson for.
and he does that.
Right?
He's also going to put guys on notice.
No,
Fucking be better.
he's not putting guys on notice. That's not putting guys on
So
notice.
he's won 2 decades.
You let your
Throughout
coaches,
his career, all he's done is won
coaches need
because
to
he points the blame at everybody
coaches need
else.
to put guys on notice, right? Aaron Rodgers stood up
How
there.
has he been so successful?
First of
All he
all,
does is blame other guys. How has he been successful his entire career? It's one thing if you want to say he's lost it because he's 42 years old. He doesn't have his fastball anymore. That's fine. But if we're going to question his leadership when all he's done his entire career,
Aaron Rodgers
fucking
went
win,
into an
that is
organization
insane.
in the Green Bay
That is
Packers
insane.
that had some of the strongest leadership in the NFL. He's been surrounded by leaders his whole career.
If he was a problem, those teams aren't winning. I'm sorry.
All these guys have been on this team. The team has had strong leadership this whole time. He sat under Brett Favre. The team went from Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer. You're acting like he turned around the situation. He didn't. And you're acting like Aaron Rodgers is a driving force behind everything that's been going on in the Green Bay Packers. That team had a ton of continuity. They kept guys there. They had guys continuously along the offensive line, right?
And he's not part of that.
A long time.
He's not part of that.
And lost a lot of big games at home.
The quarterback of all those teams, he doesn't deserve any credit for that.
The only thing that mattered through that entire time.
He's a Hall of Fame fucking quarterback with 3 or 4 MVPs. That doesn't mean anything for you?
Right. And he just won
How does
a
that
5
happen?
games playing 17 weeks.
Come on, man.
But the thing is, what I don't understand.
Only Jeff fans can shit on a whole. Like, it's amazing.
I'm not shitting on Aaron Rodgers. What he did in Green Bay means jack shit with the New York Jets because the players, his locker room wasn't a part of that. His success in Green Bay, he didn't walk in and be like, they didn't experience that, they didn't witness that, they didn't do that. They only know what they see day one here. That's it. You know, it's like, he won there. Well, he didn't win here. So what does that mean?
All the fucking problems here.
But it doesn't matter. You're only like, that's like, it's like
you have an owner that's taking advice from his son about social media posts and then relaying it to the head coach. But I don't care about none of that. What's the quarterback going to do? He wasn't going to come here and be the savior. I think we were all wrong about that. Can the Jets win with Aaron Rodgers with better coaching? Of course they can.
They can with a lot of quarterbacks.
All he's done his career is fucking win.
You're acting like the things he's done aren't also problems. The fact that he wanted to bring in all his friends. We brought in bad players. We brought in some bad players, bad linemen, bad wide receivers, because this is the guys he wanted. We didn't move on from the offensive coordinator because that's the guy he wanted. That's the offense he wanted. Then things going wrong. You know what he does? He throws him under the bus. Oh, I'm fine with him. I'm fine with changing play callers. You know, the first of all, apparently talking about the fact that the plays don't get in time. He's complaining about that. Why when we change play callers, it's still the same problem. You ask people from Green Bay, they said that's the same problem.
That was an issue. We were watching it live during games.
If you ask people from Green Bay, they're saying that the play calls and the clock running down, that's something you haven't for a decade. So that's a Rodgers issue, and he'll make you think it's everyone else. You talk about
they still won.
When you come up on a field and you ask your quarterback, how come some players can't get the ball, you can't find the ball, and he says cover 2 defense, that's not accountability. That's excuse making. That's excuse making, plain and simple.
Or just honest answers.
No, it's not an honest answer. A Hall of Fame quarterback can't read a cover 2 defense. Are you serious? Come on, honestly think about that. You think Aaron Rodgers never seen cover 2 defense in his whole life?
All right, so we're going to pick out individual
plays.
Eddie
Lacy at 300 pounds as his running back. He knows what he see cover 2 defense.
I don't know how this guy ever won a Super Bowl. It's amazing.
He blew efficiencies. He lost a lot. He lost a lot of playoff games. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, he was there almost every year.
I'm just
amazing how he did that.
Yeah, amazing how he did that. How many times he choked at home with great teams, great winning teams, top ranked teams.
Yeah, not recovering an onside kick. All Aaron Rodgers' fault.
Hey. So in your world, he's undefeated. And so Aaron Rodgers is actually an undefeated quarterback. It's everything around him fails.
Are we ripping Peyton Manning for? I mean, how many times did it take Peyton Manning to actually win a playoff game?
I'm not going to get into the whole winning Super Bowl thing and all this stuff, but in the end, the facts are the facts, right? Peyton Manning, the year they won that last Super Bowl, you wouldn't have Broncos fans coming back, even if they said they didn't win Super Bowl, and be saying, "Hey man, this is a Hall of Fame quarterback. We got to keep him here." He wasn't the same quarterback that he was even a few years ago, and he had amazing seasons in the Broncos. They benched him for Trevor Siemian.
And you don't think they catered some things to what he wanted? Because that's what you do when you need a quarterback.
They did, but when it was time to end it, he walked away. At least if Peyton Manning was trying to come back the next year, John Elway's telling him, "I don't know, man." Because the level of quarterback play wasn't great. And when we're being honest, and you break it down simple like this Jets team was scoring less points than we had with the Mark Sanchez offense.
There were plenty of issues with the Jets offense.
In a league where defense is so much worse right now, where it's so much easier for offense to score because of all the rules and all the changes, right? We can't score more than we could score with Mark Sanchez at quarterback. If you break it, you look at any flip which way you want. We talk about the kickers let him down, and this doesn't let him down, right? You talk about the kickers and all the drops, right? If he hits Garrett Wilson wide open multiple times, right?
Yeah.
Those games you win.
You act like I'm not acknowledging all the things that he didn't do well either. It was a complete team, a complete culture meltdown. No. The problem is you're not acknowledging the fact that this guy's been a winner his entire life, and he walked into this shit. This shit didn't just happen when he got here.
No, I'm no one's saying it just happened when he got here, but you're acting like this is the solution.
Why can't it be?
No, we're not. No, we're acting like this is the only solution, and that I disagree with.
We don't know what
Yeah,
the other
that's
options are for a solution.
Exactly. So
And I can't name one that's better.
Because that's your mindset. There is nobody else in Aaron Rodgers can win games in the New York Jets, and to me, I think that's not possible. I think there's other options.
So who
And-
do you
and
think
they
gives
remain
the
to be
Jets
seen.
a better record next year? You actually think
But what
Tyrod
is the,
Taylor's
but the
doing
thing
that?
is, but what is the record you're talking about? In your world, is there somebody you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to win 10 or 11 games here with the Jets? If Aaron Glenn thought that, they wouldn't be cutting him. But they don't think that. I don't think that.
Or are they trying to look long term and just save cap space?
No,
Or
if
they're
they think they
worried
can win
about all the
11
media
games, if
stuff
you
and
think you
everything
can win
else.
11 games, you can go to fucking Super Bowl. 11 games is a playoff game and anything can
I'm
happen. They don't think that. And I think once he becomes a free agent, a lot of teams don't think that either. They're not going to pick him up. And the Steelers are the best test.
I think PT.
See what
I
happens.
mean, Tyson. The problem is, we're so bought into to Rodgers, where no matter what happens next year, we could win 9 games with Tyrod Taylor, and they'll come back and say we could have won 13 with Rodgers. And I'm letting you know right now that's what's going to happen. And it's and that's fine. It's you feel like you're seeing something that you want to happen, and I can't tell you not to have hope or any idea, because it's kind of funny that it's like there's like half people who are just like super pro Glenn. It's like half hope, and then there's like people who don't really want him, but then they have hope on Rodgers, and so you're butting heads on that, right? But and the way I'm looking at it is, I don't think that we got something super special. I don't think that we got something that's irreplaceable. I think if you look around the NFL, there are guys who you could often point to, and there's guys who stars right now, as mentioned earlier in the stream, Geno, Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield's coaching staff, you talk about it, it's Todd Bowles and a new OC every year. So, I mean, it's been a revolving door. It's not been amazing. And you look at some of these guys, Sam Darnold, these are guys who were cast off. You think it's over for them, and they're here. Brock Purdy's about to get a $50 million contract. Brock Purdy's about to get a $50 million contract, despite being the last pick in the draft. And you say Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. Kyle Shanahan's whiffed on quarterbacks so often. Kyle Shanahan's a guy who traded up to number 3. He would have traded up to number 2 if the Jets wanted it, but we were locked in on Wilson, and he traded up to number 3 for Trey Lance. Trey Lance did he even start 5 games for them?
I mean, he also got to a Super Bowl though.
That's not the point. The point is he's watching and if someone can get to a Super Bowl with a quarterback and think to themselves, this isn't my quarterback. This isn't the guy I want. Why can't we look at a quarterback who, while being amazing in the past, won us 5 games?
Because of everything. I'm not going to keep going into it, but
No,
we acknowledge all the issues.
I get what you're saying about all the other issues.
Rodgers certainly wasn't perfect. I still think he can be part of the solution.
My point is, you just wipe the slate clean, because while you're saying you can be part of the solution, if that solution is walking out the door after a year, what's your solution?
It leaves you in a better place than where you left it.
How?
Not financially, it doesn't.
14 straight years of losing. If you actually turn the page and have a 10-win season, an 11-win season, you get the vibes up in that building, you keep some of your young talent, you're not constantly going through the same cycle of, all right, now we're pushing guys out, we're trying to redraft, we're trying to rebuild. Like, I'm sick of that perpetual cycle.
But here's the comeback to that.
Too many guys go elsewhere and find ways to succeed that we can't make anything out of.
But your Aaron Rodgers solution is the best case scenario in every aspect. He stays healthy. He plays great. He embraces the offense. He does all these things. What if the opposite happens? He doesn't play that well. They continue to lose. And now you have the losing culture continues. And you have the huge ass cap hit hurting you the next year too. So you can't rebuild the next year.
So what if Tyrod Taylor gets hurt? He has injury history.
But you're not, Tyrod Taylor's not, he's $12 million, dude. You bring somebody else to compete with him. It's apples and oranges at that point. Complete apples and oranges.
The cap space it's irrelevant to me.
How is cap space irrelevant?
Only
You're rebuilding your roster.
Only if he wasn't willing to negotiate.
I'll say this, PT, right? And I'll bring up the Bengals again. And when we talk about winning and the right way, and whether things just the way it is, right? The Bengals, they got their young quarterback, and they're in a much better position than us, because obviously they have their superstar quarterback, they have a superstar wide receiver, right? But the Bengals made a Super Bowl a few years ago. Since then, They've made bad decisions roster wise. They allowed their defense to get completely gutted. And their defense wasn't great in the first place, but they allowed it to get completely gutted because they wanted to focus all on the offensive end. Outside of Trey Henderson, they let Bates has been gone. They had their other safety wasn't gone. They've had some decent defenders who ended up walking, and they've just focused all on the offensive end. And what's happened to them? They missed the playoffs the last 2 years. And yes, Burrow's been hurt the year before, but Burrow's healthy, fully healthy this year.
And playing incredible.
They win games. And Lou Anarumo, who was one of the hot names as a DC candidate, everyone's like, oh, this guy's be a head coach. He just got fired. And not even because he's a bad DC, because they have no talent in defensive end. Why? Because they don't have the money to do that. So you can't just ignore the cap. Well, look, if you want to say as a fan, you can ignore it. The GM, he can't do that.
Nope.
He can't afford to do that. Because that's how you get yourself on a hot seat. That's how you get yourself looking at your team and saying, how do you have a quarterback and how do you have a triple crown wide receiver, a quarterback who's leading the league in almost every stat, and you can't even make the playoffs? You're losing at home to a Patriots team who some people thought would win one game.
I also want to build through the draft, not through free agency. So
you even if you want to build to draft through free agency, you need not through free agency, you need to accentuate it through free agency. You need to make smart, shrewd signings to free agency. And if you're just eating dead cap and pushing this, because the whole thing with the Rodgers thing, it's not just Rodgers, it's also Adams, right? Because then you're going to sign Adams and you're going to extend him and you're going to kick his dead cap all throughout. So then you're looking at a few years down the line of us having.
Okay, so we get rid of both. We're going to have what, 70 million in cap space. The Patriots have 120 million. Where would you rather play?
What? Are there 10 players in the NFL? We'll
get the second tier like we always do. We'll get the second tier.
But the Jets aren't going big game hunting this year in free agency anyway.
How many times have the Jets
everything that we're all saying is just speaking to what I'm saying, that the Jets are going to win 6 or 7 games this year. We're all going to excuse it. We're going to say it's okay. First time regime.
You're saying that.
Keep excusing losing. It's okay. It's
no,
fine.
no. But
everything will be okay. In 2027, we'll compete. It's fine. It's all right.
But what you're doing is you're putting words in our mouth, and we never said that.
No.
You think the Jets are punting on the season, and we both think they're not.
We don't know the quarterback, and they're not going big game hunting in free agency. What do you think the outcome's going to be?
Because you don't have to, dude. You could put together a competent roster and be well coached and win football games. You want to chase the big names and live in this glory year that's not existent.
I mean, how many times have teams that chase big names actually been the teams that are?
We just fucking saw it last year with the Jets. They sold their souls with all the big names, all the fans wanted.
Smith?
Spend all this fucking money, chase all the big fucking names, and it blew up in their face. And now here you are. So now you got to act like fucking adults and be a quality, legitimate organization and make sound, shrewd moves. The first one is get rid of the old, expensive quarterback and go with a new guy. That's it.
I mean, most of the time when you look around the league and teams are going big name hunting, that doesn't actually contribute.
It never works
unless you're big name hunting along the offensive and defensive line. And you see the guys who go out and get big wide receivers, all these stars, Tyreek Hill. Look, we made a few years of the playoffs.
Look at the Eagles linebacker.
Soft teams.
Look at the Eagles linebacker that was all pro. Right?
Zach Vaughn. He was just just got left from the Saints, was it?
Yeah. Wait, 1 year, $3 million. What did he make? 1 year, like all pro.
How many times, PT, how many times have we gone out and signed a guy for a ton of money, and then someone who was much cheaper is much better, has been much better than them? So the idea of saying like, oh, the Patriots have 120 million doesn't mean they're going to get the right people.
Look at Quincy Williams, for Christ's sakes.
We got Quincy Williams. We claimed John Franklin Myers off waivers when the Rams cut him. Those are some of our better players, our best players.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Like
so bringing back Rodgers doing the same thing we've already done.
Head coaches and first-time GMs and rookie quarterbacks and expecting things to go right.
First-time head coach and first-time GM does not equal a failing regime. You look around the league, there's a lot of first-time head coaches who are still in their jobs.
Yep.
Woody Johnson's not their owner.
We're
going to act like that doesn't matter when it's all we were bitching about 2 months ago. We're just being honest.
Answer me this.
If we're having an honest conversation 2 months ago,
did they not hire Rich Spielman?
Jet fans' biggest gripe. Honest conversation right now. What was the biggest problem with the Jets 2 months ago?
I'm not going to deny the owner's a problem.
But hold on, John. Hold on 1 second though. And what we say? Let the new staff make football decisions. If Woody Johnson was still actively involved in this, Aaron Rodgers would be on the fucking organization. Because Aaron Rodgers is right now the only guy that can sell tickets for this team.
We don't know that.
That's a fucking fact,
Dude,
dude.
coach, that Woody Johnson was ready to kick him out anyway.
I mean, they were still putting
was
Rodgers
over it, all the bullshit.
they were
Believe
still
that, you're out of
putting
your fucking
Rodgers
mind.
on the ticket
Now,
promo.
we're believing athletic stories. Give me a break. Aaron
Also,
Rodgers is the only guy that can sell tickets for this team right now, and Woody Johnson is letting him walk out the door.
they've been
They
posting
went out and
Rodgers
hired
highlights.
Rick Spielman.
Well,
They're
PC,
giving
right?
you a senior football right. They've never done that. They have Phil Savage as a consultant. Would never have done that. They're literally making changes we've all asked for.
On the ownership angle, right? While I agree, I've never been. You're not gonna catch me out here acting like Woody. Woody is the guy I love or a guy I care for. I want my owner to just not even be seen. I like the stories of the owners of like successful franchises. It's like he didn't go in the locker room at all. Like you hear about, I've heard like Shannon Sharp talk about the owner for the Broncos when they had Elway and all this stuff. He didn't come in the locker room. He didn't do anything. He let that was Shanahan's space, right? He got to control that space. Like Mike Shanahan did everything in there. That was his area. The owner didn't stay in there. He didn't come in there, right? But I'll say this, right? On bad ownership, right? Oftentimes, no matter how long the bad ownership is lasting, James Dolan, you don't hear any Knicks fans talking about him. The Bills ownership in the Pagulas, they are one of the worst run NHL teams. Why? Because they're allowed to get involved. Those are the same people who are running the Buffalo Bills. They had a terrible 17-year streak of losing, right?
Yep.
Right. And they get people in football in position, football execs and stuff like that, and the GMs, and they let them run the team. And look where they are. So while they're one of the best run teams in football right now, they are the same ownership as one of the worst run teams in hockey. So it's about who you have in the places. Because if you have the right people in the right positions, you're gonna win.
Yep.
While the ownership is something that annoys me, and when I hear these stories, it's something that needs to end. Woody Johnson can't come into the locker room with his son and his wife and his other kids and their friends from high school and be trash talking players and all this stuff. That is unacceptable. That is incomprehensible that it actually could happen. But the fact of the matter is, once you get someone who can get them to stop, and you have to hope after everything that's happened this season, if there's one thing we can hope, is that the fact that after everything's happened this season, after having to talk to Tannenbaum, and when Tannenbaum has been crushing Woody kind of on TV for all these things that's coming out, there's no way there's no one telling him you need to stop, and you hope maybe one time, just for once, he can stop, because James Dolan has completely stopped. You don't hear anything about him. Nope. And I know you like them. You follow the Knicks. You've seen what's happened with that team. You get the right person, everything else will follow. So that's what all I'll say on the ownership. And there's some owners in this league who are great some places and who are terrible. The Rams owner, Stan Kroenke, I'm an Arsenal fan. We hate him. In England, they hate him. Stan Kroenke is the one of the most hated men. Can't stand him because he's cheap. Okay, I'm not going to talk about Arsenal, but Stan Kroenke is viewed as a very good owner in the NFL.
Yep.
So on the ownership, that's what I'll say on that.
Javin, thank you for calling in tonight, man. You made my night. This is probably your best call in the history of the show. Easily.
Hang in there, PT. We're brighter days coming, hopefully. Okay.
Well, tonight's the airing of grievances. Next week we move on to happier things.
We get it out this week, and then next week we're hyping up Tyrod and everybody else. So
yeah, and Primetime's gonna realize that we can win without Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, if we go to the playoffs with Tyrod, I need PT to get the jersey.
Oh, dude,
if that happens, I absolutely will.
And we'll have him I'll get him a cameo too. I'll get like a Tyrod type of cameo for primetime too. Like, thank you for always supporting me.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Later, man.
Woof. I knew the show.
I tried. I think I told you I tried to do the Ken Burrell Tompkins cameo for you.
Prick.
The drop pass in Buffalo.
Oh,
he refused to do it though.
Oh, fucking guy. I still have nightmares about that fucking game. Ah. Let's see if you work this time now.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Okay.
You there?
We're good.
Where the hell are the vacuums at?
Oh, still there.
It's always there. Well, this was running a little late tonight. I was gonna go through a whole thing here. I mean, I even had some little funny things in the background that might break my stream, but we'll try it.
Let's try. See what we got here. We need some comedy humor. We need some humor here.
Oh, no, I don't think it's working.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So if you first time you call and you froze, and now you got this?
Well, I do have this one, but this one isn't that great.
Daniel Jones?
No.
That was it was a string of a bunch of random quarterbacks, but that was fine. It doesn't matter. We can move on from that. There was also the seal from the commercial last night from the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That one. That it was also that. It was a whole bunch of cast of characters that we know and love.
The worst commercial was it Tubi? That was an awkward one. Was that with the was it Tubi? What the hell was it with the guy had like the head was attached with the I don't know. I forgot the name of the company.
There were a bunch of stinkers last night. The whole thing was just painful to go through. But just quickly, just getting on the Rodgers thing here. I like the move, obviously. The biggest thing I like about it is just that it shows just conviction and just that they have a plan and that they have a strong process and they're just ready to stick to it. And I think that obviously with the regime, I mean, because we've seen it. We've seen it in the past. We've seen
How does
that
this show a strong plan? We don't know who the quarterback's going to be yet.
It shows that they at least know what they want. They're not just like
we don't know what they want.
They're panicking. They might trade for Devonta Adams. Oh wait, now we got him. Let's see what Woody Johnson thinks. Like it shows that they're taking charge at least, and that's at least the bare. Like we're kind of at rock bottom. That's like the bare minimum we can hope for. I mean, it's. I don't get the one thing that just has confused me from this stream that I was a lot angrier about earlier, but Javid kind of got a lot of the anger out, was that we were watching the games. I thought we all agreed we weren't going to have him watch we look at these games. You watched the Arizona game. I watched the Arizona game. Here are the teams. He beat he played well against the Rams, the Jaguars.
I don't care about last year.
The meaningless wins. The meaningless wins have won over Primetime's heart.
Yeah. Let's see the teams he beat that against. The 49ers, the Vikings, the Steelers, the Bills. It's almost like those are good teams that were in the earlier part of the year. And then when we played the shit teams that didn't matter anymore, he barely beat the Jaguars, and we're like, oh, he's back. We did it. I don't get where it's coming from. I appreciate that he came here. I appreciate that he chose the team, but it's just not compatible for a long-term winning formula with not just leader. You could say the whole leadership argument, fine, but just with the cap alone, it's just going to saddle us for the next. He's not playing 2 more years. He's playing 1 year at most. And
but he was moving around at the end of last year. He might play 2 years.
I mean, what? No, he's not. He's not going to play 2 years. And if he is, he's going to be a corpse of himself walking around.
Yep.
It's
blaming somebody else.
You remember that one play he was scrambling in the pocket for like 12 seconds?
Yeah, and then what? It got called back because of a
We're going to pick out one player of the 2000 he played this year?
Yeah. I mean,
towards the end of the year when he was healthy, he could still move.
I mean,
Great.
people are
I can still move too.
People are talking about, like I was in a Tyson stream with Jet Central earlier. I saw people in the comments talking about, oh, he's a proven winner. We need him. I'm sorry, did Tyrod Taylor throw the interception against the Vikings in London? No, that was Aaron Rodgers.
Wait. Are you saying he's not a proven winner?
Now with the Jets, he's not.
Saying he doesn't apply.
If you want to say he's over the hill, fine. Like that's
is he a proven winner with the Jets?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't apply anymore.
Did he prove he could win with the Jets? No.
He played 1 year with the Jets with one head coach for 5 games.
He played 2 years with
another head coach that was completely overmatched and over his head for the rest of the season. While they changed play callers midway through,
so now
accountability.
I just want to wait.
Defense that couldn't hold leads.
So now wait, Robert Saleh was the one. Robert Saleh was the one forcing him to make the bad throws. That's how it works now.
No, it's Mike Evans' fault.
So now Robert Saleh was the guy that said, "Aaron, you're going to miss these wide open receivers and miss these game-winning touchdowns because Robert Saleh was like he's like the mechanic. Is that how was he like the robot?
Right, so we'll pick out all the throws he missed, and that was clearly the reason why the Jets lost all their games.
He's part of it. But you're saying, but he's not as a New York Jet. As a Jet, he was not a proven winner. He didn't win there. He won 5 games.
One season. I mean,
that's all I can base it off of.
He played 2 seasons, and his first year here, he had 0 yards passing.
I hate problem.
No, the stats don't lie. We're talking about stats here. We're gonna dig up some stats. I mean,
if we're gonna talk about Aaron Rodgers' first year, there should be more respect put on the fact that this motherfucker was actually ready at the end of the season to come back if the team would have stayed.
He wasn't even ready. He wasn't even ready to come back this year. He was ready to be this year.
Christmas Eve, he would have been playing that game if the Jets were still in it.
Yeah, at 75%.
What does that tell you about the guy, though?
Great.
He was putting his body on the line.
It was telling me.
With his teammates.
It was telling me he was filming a Netflix special, was documenting everything, and making millions of dollars off of proving science wrong. His whole goal was to prove science wrong. Is all he's trying to do. That's all he gives a shit about.
Let's regroup here for a second. Let's say that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest teammate in the history of teammates. what does that do for us when he's not only taking up a huge portion of the cap, but just going forward past 1 year, looking past 1 year?
We don't know, first off, if he would actually negotiate his cap number. But looking beyond this year, whether it's Jordan Travis or if you draft somebody mid-rounds this year, I would have no issue with Aaron Rodgers mentoring that guy. Jordan Love turned out all right. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And meanwhile, okay, Travis Hunter's been here. He's been mentoring him. I mean, let's just roll with him then.
Travis.
Oh, I'm losing
Travis
my mind.
Hunter. What
This
the
is
hell?
Travis. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh my
Jordan
God.
Travis. This is why I go on early. You don't close with me. You're playing with fire tonight. Okay.
I would have no issue at all with Aaron Rodgers mentoring both Jordan Travis, and if we draft somebody mid-rounds, like I'd have no issue with that. I would love that, actually.
It's just yeah. But then the next year after that, he has the rookie quarterback that we're bringing in has no help because Rodgers, who's not even going to be on the team, is eating half the salary cap.
Or the Jets win 5 or 6 games, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, 1 out, and then the next quarterback has absolutely nothing to work with on offense. That's a possibility too.
The rule is the Jets can only,
that could
the
definitely
Jets.
happen.
The same thing. The possibility is the Jets could lose Aaron Rodgers too because he can't stay healthy.
It could.
Right. And that risk is
That's
not worth
what he's done his entire career.
He did it last year, 5-12.
That's not what he's done his entire career.
I only give a shit about his career as a
What
Jet.
have you done for me lately? Don't
What
we
did he
always
do
talk about
last
that?
year? I don't care about 10 years ago. He was 5-12 and got hurt again. Guess what happened? He's going to be a year older and can get hurt again with a significant cap hit, which is going to fuck your future. That risk is not worth the reward for me. Absolutely not. When I think the Jets can win without him.
Listen, what you do going forward, and this is what their plan is, the new regime. Okay, you're gonna rebuild. You're gonna get some youth in here. You're gonna get Greg the Leg out of here. You're gonna pick Ben Sauls in the 6th round, kicker out of Pitt. You're gonna get some young, fresh blood in here. Okay, we're gonna build a culture. We're gonna do better. We don't need Aaron Rodgers to do that. We're gonna be fine. You don't need him to hold your hand. I loved that time when he threw those Hail Marys against Arizona. That was great. We were on our couch and we were like, oh, he did it again. That was great. Okay. But we're gonna move forward and we're gonna be fine. Okay. Aaron Rodgers does not help us. You don't need him. You can take the training wheels off. He's gonna
Lucky for us, he's not going to be here. So this conversation is
not
really
gonna be here. We're gonna be fine. I'm gonna cap it at that. I'm sure we could keep going all night, but
we
we're
have
gonna
to.
cap it at
2-hour
that.
show.
We'll get Jose on. We'll be all happy and we'll go to bed all happy. Okay, guys. Good night.
Later, man.
Have a good night. Travis Hunter, he said.
He did.
This fucking show is exhausting me, dude. I'm fucking toast. What's up, man?
Hey guys, I won't be on too long. Just a couple of thoughts because this has been interesting, and I'll tell you the vitriol over this is really interesting. A couple of observations, things I was thinking about. One thing was we keep looking at 2023 and saying, if Rodgers hadn't torn his Achilles, there's a contradiction here. If he hadn't torn his Achilles, Jets would have had a great season, right? 2024, the coaching sucked and that's why we're losing. It's not the only reason we're losing. We had the same coaching staff in 2023. Good defense. But
if he didn't get hurt, though, it would have been exposed. And I think they actually would have made a move. If Rodgers was healthy all of 2023, I don't think Saleh comes back the following year.
It's a good question, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of pieces to this thing, and there's a lot of unknowns, which is always a problem. A couple of points with first of all, I appreciate PT where you're coming from. I understand where people want to keep Rodgers. I understand about wanting to win. Having been around this damn team for 56 years, I understand it. I understand getting tired of losing. I understand wanting hope. The problem is that Rodgers, yes, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He did that at Green Bay. He started there. He was a rookie. He sat for 3 years behind Favre. He was part of that culture. He was in that culture. He came in here. Cultural fit makes a big difference. And leaving out how bad Saleh was and stuff, Rodgers was not in a position to change the culture here. He was not really in a position to make things accountable. He was not, how do you put it? He really wasn't. And he kind of stood apart here. Now, I'm not blaming him for everything. Last year was bad coaching, players not giving a shit. I mean, there was a lot of things bad here. But again, with Rodgers, and the other thing was looking at him play. Yes, he had his moments, and we understand he was hurt. Well, guess what? He's going to be 42. Chances are he's going to get hurt again. We'd have the same problems. So there's a lot of questions there, and there's enough questions to make me think. And the reason I think with Rodgers moving on is, honestly, I just don't think it was a fit. I don't think they would have won that much this year. Had he stayed, I don't think so. He's kind of set in his ways, and he's physically, the injuries kind of accumulate on you. Tom Brady played till he was 45, but you know what? Tom Brady had one major injury in his career. I know Rodgers didn't either. He was pretty injury-free until fairly recently. He had the one injury, the knee injury that he had when he was out for the season. That's it. He never got hit. I mean, he was great at flopping and everything else, whatever he did. So even playing in his 40s, it wasn't accumulated. Rodgers had a major injury, then he got more injuries. It accumulates on you. It doesn't always come totally back. He'll be 42 next year. And I just couldn't see it. That's me. I am, again, it's not knocking the idea of keeping him. I think the idea that we'd win 10 or 11 games, I'm not sure of it. I put the ceiling at 8 or 9. Just
with Rodgers, you mean?
We don't, with Rodgers. We don't know if the defense is going to recuperate. There's a lot of issues there, a lot of questions. Saleh was a great DC. I think Glenn and Wilkes are good enough to create a good defense. Is it enough to create a monster team where that the offense can do enough to be able to win? I don't know about that. I saw a lot with Rodgers. He wasn't throwing it downfield. That tells me something was going on there. Either mentally he wasn't ready for it or physically. And it hurt us. You know, a couple of those things when we talk about those field goals killing us, yes, they did. But the reason they killed us was we had so many drives stall in the red zone, even close in. We had 4th and 2s. We couldn't go for it. If we did, Rodgers tried to throw the ball. It didn't get in there. It showed there was a lack of something going on. You can say he was rusty. You can say he was still getting the rust off. He was feeling it. I just don't know how much of that. He's not, he's 42. When he won the Super Bowl, he was 28, I think. That was a long time ago. Yes, he had a winning culture at Green Bay. They had great teams. And also, he clashed there. It worked, but he clashed there. He got McCarthy fired. He didn't like McCarthy. He got fights with him. He got him fired. He clashed with LaFleur. So he's that kind of personality. And now we've got a new coaching staff, right? So the idea of him winning is we've got a new coaching staff that doesn't hopefully have all the ills that Saleh did with the arrogance and all the rest of it and the non-accountability and stuff. Now we've got Rodgers standing apart. We've got a coaching staff led by Aaron Glenn that's all about team, about people fitting. It could very well be Rodgers clash. And I'm going to ask a question that I don't have an answer for. We kept hearing that initially that Aaron Glenn wanted Rodgers to stay. That was coming out all over the place. Some really reputable sources.
No. But who said that?
No, there was like these are reputable sources. We're saying that the internal word was that Aaron Glenn was leaning towards having Rodgers stay. Right?
I don't know about that.
And then suddenly there was that he wanted.
I think a lot of these guys were speculating and assuming that was the case because in their eyes it was the best chance to win. I'm not necessarily sure
that's what we've heard. But anyhow, it could also be the thing to answer your question about why they let him go. We don't know what happened. It could be they talked to Rodgers and Rodgers said, "Well, I need my offense, or I want this, or I want Devontae Adams to stay here." He probably renegotiated the money. I don't think the money had anything to do with Rodgers. I don't think he was driven by it. I think he wanted to play. I think he wants to win. I will not take that away from man. Most athletes are competitors. There's some scumbags out there that do it for money, and you can tell who they are. Rodgers wasn't. But I honestly wonder if he came in there and basically gave enough indications they thought they couldn't deal with him. And you got a brand new staff. You've got a rookie offensive coordinator. And you've got, yes, a Hall of Fame quarterback. And it can be a really big clash. And that could be a problem too. I don't know if it happened or not, but I'm really wondering about that. I just think from my take, I don't know how much extra Rodgers gave us. I understand about winning. I don't think we were going to go to the playoffs. I had us tagged 8 to 9 games. Could another quarterback come in there and give us at least a halfway decent season? I don't know if they could give us that much. I really don't. It's totally an unknown. We don't know. We're in hell. We knew this, right? But think about this. So we've got a totally new coaching staff, NGM and everything else. And again, Spielman was in on this. And I wonder if Spielman wasn't one of the driving forces behind dropping Rodgers too. If he said, look, I know the guy, he's not going to do it. Like I said, I think there was a reason. I don't think this was done willy-nilly. I don't think they just said, screw it, let's get rid of Rodgers. The money had something to do with it. There was so many factors. Was Rodgers did they think that Rodgers was the only cause of the problem? No. And under ideal circumstances, they might have even kept him. If, for example, let's say Saleh had been a decent head coach and we just put a good offensive coach, OC in here, they might have kept him. but they've got a totally new system. They're doing a totally new things. It looks like we don't even know because until we start seeing who they get rid of, who they keep, who they take in, we don't know what they're doing. So it's very hard to tell. But my take is they do have a vision. I don't know what it is. Now, could they win? Could they have a decent team next year? Let's say they get, I'm just trying to think of a quarterback. And please, I'm using this as an example. I'm not saying get the person. Let's say just for a reason, Carr becomes available and he's at a minimum, right? Now, there's a lot of things against Carr, right?
I'm back.
That he's not a cold weather guy or whatever, blah, blah, blah. There's all these things against him. But let's say they get caught, right? With an offensive scheme that's based around a run-first offense, which Rodgers, I've heard, oh, the running game sucks, so he had to throw it. No, Rodgers wanted to throw the ball, and he was dumping it off. He wanted to play it his way. And, again, given that he had the crappy offensive staff, he was calling it himself, okay, whatever. If we have Carr, the offensive line needs a tweak here or there. I don't know about right tackle. Moses is probably not coming back. They need some backups on the line too. The depth is garbage. They got to get rid of Schweitzer and those guys. They're not that good. Warren, they're not good. Even with a good offensive coach, and hopefully the offensive line coach is good. But if we've got a good offensive line, if they can get the defense back, if they fill in the holes and they've got a good scheme, they're an aggressive defense. You know what? We've got a pretty good chance. I don't know what the schedule. Have they even announced the schedule for next year yet?
The teams, not the actual schedule.
Okay, I don't know the teams. Was there a particularly rough? I hadn't even looked at. I haven't had time.
I don't even look at that. I don't.
Yeah, all right. Whatever it is, they've got a chance because you know what? I mean, obviously we're in a tough division, which would have made even bringing Rodgers back makes it questionable. Miami is probably going to be a good team. New England is going to be a lot better. Buffalo's Buffalo. And then anything else we face. But the point is, we could still have a credible game. And the other thing is, it's seeing how the other pieces. We know the quarterback, this is not a long-term solution. We're not hoping that, let's say, Baker Mayfield actually becomes a long-term great franchise quarterback.
But the whole goal is to find a guy like that. Like your blueprint is exactly what I think. Clean a lot of things up, play great defense, establish the running game because you have the running backs.
And what you're doing is you're getting the other pieces in place.
And that's how you build your program. Like, you know what your program is, and you're finding pieces each way.
We still need to do that. We need to build the rest of the team. I don't think this team, we had talent, but we used to say last year it had talent, but it's not a team.
Nope.
Well, they're trying to forge a culture where it is a team. And again, I'm not blaming this on Rodgers. It was coaching, it was a lot of things. We got to settle that. So if we get one of the journeyman quarterbacks, and again, keep in mind that always with these quarterbacks, it's for a particular place and time. Sometimes you get a journeyman. Sometimes a guy like Gardner Minshew at one point was blowing up and everybody's going, wow. He blew up for a while. He was doing really well for a while. It was a combination of circumstances. We can get that. So next year, at least we get something for the fans. We see there's an improvement. We see what's going on. And then we're going to have to deal with the quarterback. I don't have an answer for that. I don't see much in this draft. There may be somebody there that's a gem that they can build.
Next year.
I don't know. Next year's draft, it's going to depend what's out there. I know it's supposed to be a loaded draft. Everybody talks about Arch Manning.
It's apples and oranges compared to this year's class, man.
Yeah, it's different. So this year, but let's say a guy like the Jackson Dart, they pull him, whatever his name is, they pull him.
That would be Primetime's world. They bring back Rodgers, they win 8 games, and they fuck themselves in the draft the following year.
That'll happen with Tyrod now.
I mean, even leaving out, you know what? I'm going to leave out like winning
no cap space
and losing, not having a high draft pick, and then in 2026 not being able to do whatever. I'm going to leave that out of it because I don't want to go there because we want to try to have a decent year. It's also not good for a coaching staff, even though people have gone through it. They've gone through 1-15s and 0-16s and 2 and whatevers. I mean, it happens. But the point is, we're really hoping not for that. So we're hoping to say, hey, we had a pretty good core. We can do. Let's say we do 7 or 8 wins, and I know it's not a winning season, but the rest of the games we look promising, and we're doing better as the year goes on. We find a quarterback that's a fit for the system, that can actually do something, not somebody that we're going to take us to the playoffs or the Super Bowl. And then we see what we've got. Now, Travis, who the hell knows if he's going to even be able to walk on a playing field. I really wonder about him. His injury was as bad as Alex Smith, and that was as bad as you can get. Yep. Alex Smith almost died. So it's like he's in bad shape. So we don't know if he'll be anything. We don't know if he'll be any good. He's there. So I think the biggest one, Ian's been really good on Jet Central. I like his videos because he's been saying, like, let's have a quarterback competition. Let's get the best guy we can out there and see what we can do with it. And I'm hopeful with that. I mean, it doesn't mean I think we're going to have a winning. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs anyway. I don't think we would have made it with Rodgers. And I think Rodgers would have brought enough negatives for me in there in terms of not long-term culture. I don't think he's going to develop a young quarterback. I don't think he was a culture guy. Honestly, this past year, I know people in the locker room said they liked him. There were things that he did right. He took pay cuts to come in. I'm not questioning that. But on the field, he wasn't in players' faces. I've seen enough good quarterbacks. I've seen guys like Staubach. I saw guys like Bradshaw. When they had problems, they were in the middle of it. Staubach would go up to somebody and literally.
Tom Brady was like that.
Brady was definitely like that. A receiver screwed up and ran the wrong route, or an offensive lineman missed a block, or they had a timing where they ran out of time. They ran out of, too many men on the field. He'd be pissed off. He kind of did that even in Tampa Bay when he went there. He kind of clashed a bit with Arians, but he showed leadership. He said, basically, I'm running the team. I'm in there. I'm the leader. And they took him. They went to the Super Bowl because the guy, that's a difference. And I don't think Rodgers really ever had that. That's my take on him. He's a great quarterback. He's a winning quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I can't take that away from him, but he was not going to be the man next year that was going to do it. I think I'd much prefer what I was saying. That's why I'm going with this.
Me too. I'm in the same boat you're in, man. It's like I could see there's a path to win without Rodgers. I'm assuming because Aaron Glenn realizes in order to come here, you're taking on a huge task, but you got to win and you got to be credible. So he's not gonna ship out Aaron Rodgers to have no plan to win games.
No,
the locker room's gonna be like, who is this clown?
And there's something here that's really interesting. I think the one piece of hope I have out of this, I think Tyson was right. I think having Aaron Rodgers here would sell tickets. There's no doubt. It's the only way you're going to do it. You got some quarterback in there with everything else, with all the things we've gone through. That's not going to sell tickets. They're not going to be putting hope and saying, boy, the new hope, we've got whatever. Aaron Rodgers, they couldn't. Damn well that LI would be like jumping all over, let's keep Rodgers. I think Woody, he might have been mixed on Rodgers. I'm not really sure. Some people say they want to get rid of him, but I'm going to leave it up to whatever. I don't totally believe that, because if they had the opportunity to sell tickets, they would go for it. What that tells me is that Aaron Rodgers, Moogie, and Spielman, that they're willing to take the wrath, because there's a lot of wrath from Jets fans. Benino pissed me off today. He was on there and he basically said that, jeez, no, Tyson's not brain dead. Legend's brain dead.
No, he's not. He's ahead of all of us.
He's drank himself into a coma, whatever. No, seriously, that they're willing to take the wrath. In the past, would you be looking and saying, you know what, all these guys out there are really negative because we're dumping Rodgers, and they might have changed their minds. These guys knew they would cause a shitstorm, at least among a good number of Jets fans.
Yep.
I said, Benino was on the radio. I'll finish with this one, but he got me pissed because he's on the radio saying, well, anybody that's happy about Aaron Rodgers being let go isn't a true Jets fan. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I've been a fan for 56 years. I've been through it all.
I hate that statement, no matter what it's about. Like you're entitled to have your opinions or root however you want.
You know what? I know he's a fan. I usually like
there
Joe.
are no bandwagon Jet fans out there.
I like exactly. We're all. You know what? The Jets fans. I can tell you this right now, having been around for a long time. I remember the '70s. The Jets were awful. Your parents' generation. I'm old enough. Your parents' generation would remember that. Older generations of fans. In the '70s, a lot of fans, including Giants fans, they'll deny it. A lot of them switched to Dallas because Dallas was America's team. You were seeing them that was when the national broadcast came out, and Dallas was America's team. A lot of people switched allegiances, including our ex-governor, Chris Christie. I'd like to tweak him next time I meet him with that one. But he's a Dallas fan living in New Jersey. Go figure. Jets fans didn't do that. The Jets fan base did not jump to other teams. So, yeah, we're a very good fan base, but they also knew they were going to catch a shitstorm for this. There were a lot of people hoping, they were looking for Rodgers for hope, and I fully understand that. And they were willing to face that fire as a new thing.
But to your point, though, that makes me feel even more confident. They knew the backlash of doing something like releasing Rodgers, and they're willing to do it because they have conviction in their plan going forward. And that's Joe Benigno's take. That's fucking stupid. It really is.
He actually said that. And first of all, most fans, at least with me, it's not like I'm like ding dong, the witch is dead and Aaron Rodgers is gone. I don't blame him for all our problems. I blame the ownership for that because the way we got Rodgers was because everything was fucked up in the first place. That we went on a last digit, we went on a Hail Mary with Rodgers to try to win now. And anytime you do win now, you're screwed.
But the thing is this: it's like like I completely understand where prime time's coming from, and I respect it 100%.
I do too.
But it's not like Aaron Rodgers is 33 years old, playing the best football of his life, and it's a slam dunk guarantee that him coming back this year, you're going to get 17 great games. The Jets are going to the playoffs. There's a lot of ifs. There's also a lot of ifs. Like if he comes back, if. Same thing with Tyrod Taylor. If he plays, if there's no slam dunk, like assumption here. So that's why there's different takes where half the fan base believes, half the place. So like for Benigno to say that's just stupid as shit, dude.
No, he said that. And
we all have the same goal. We all want to win. We have different ways of going about it. Some people have a big picture view. Like, you know what? I understand what this year means. I also understand the cap hit next year is going to be enormous, and I want long-term success. I want to build a program from the bottom to the top and change the direction of it. So I'm willing to endure a little bit this year to be better for the next 5 years. So,
and like I said,
there's
nothing wrong with passion, but it's like, you know what? First of all, it's ridiculous to get into a civil war over a football team. I'm sorry. I love the team. I've been around them a long time. It's a nice sidelight.
Crazy.
It's fun being around fans and stuff. But you know what? This isn't serious. This isn't the end of the world. No one's dying. And it's like, you know what? When you say that, you're saying basically you're right. You're Tyson. You're saying where Benigno and those guys are saying is basically, well, your view is stupid. It'd be like me sitting there saying, well, primetime, you're not a fan because you don't understand. No, I understand where you're coming from. And like I said, if Rodgers had stayed here, and I don't know what happened behind the scenes, I don't know if we'll ever know. But you know what? If Rodgers came in and he said, you know what? If there is a possibility to renegotiate the money, which I've been told there isn't, you can shuffle it around, but there's money going well into the future with him as it is. And then secondly, if he came in there and said, look, I'm willing to go along with the scheme, and the scheme is more run-oriented, we're going to do more like game management, kind of like what Peyton Manning did when they won the Super Bowl. Manning knew he wasn't the person he was. He couldn't throw that well. His neck injury was hurting him. They went he was a game manager, man. They were running, not ground and pound, but pretty close to it. And he was willing to do it. He adjusted. If Rodgers said, I'm willing to do that, I'm willing to listen to this, I'll go with your new scheme, I'll work with you to develop the new scheme, and they kept him. If they said that, and if they had kept him, I would have been, I wouldn't have been delirious, but I would have been happy. But the end of the line is like we all have our opinions, but everybody, including Joe Benigno, week 1 is going to be out there rooting for Tyrod Taylor or whoever the hell's behind the quarterback, hoping they win games, right? So say, oh, you're a terrible fan, right? Okay, we're such terrible fans. Then what are you going to do week 1? Are you not going to cheer for your team because not Aaron Rodgers anymore? A terrible fan would be somebody.
But that's the question, though. We're such bad fans, so you're such a great fan. Now that your guy, your only chance to win is gone, are you not going to support your team anymore because he's gone? So the coach that you loved, that was a genius 4 days ago, is no longer good because he made a move you don't think is right. So now in a week, your opinion on him has changed? That's ridiculous.
There's also another thing with this about lowering expectations, and I don't like bullshit. Believe me, I wish we didn't have to. But let's say we had Rodgers next year. We kept him for this year, rather. We kept Rodgers for this season. Keep feeling it's 2025. Keep him for this season. And the Jets were out there. And there's the usual. We got a new coaching staff. Things are feeling their way. Things are happening. It happens with a new coaching staff. Fans would be all over him like it's the same old shit with the coaching staff. Without Rodgers out there, if we have, X out there, some quarterback, people will be a little less saying that it's about the coaching staff and saying, he's not that great a quarterback. I know it's not a great thing. I'm not saying that as a reason to get rid of Rodgers, but had we had Rodgers out there and people had these high expectations and we go out week 1 and it's not a good game, then
who's also fragile? Aaron Rodgers over the last 4 years.
Look, Rodgers, even with that, he's 42 years old, guys. I'm older than that. I know what it's like to be in the 40s, your 50s, your 60s. I know what it feels like, what your body feels like. You just don't heal as fast.
But at the end of the day, it's a done deal. Like he's not going to be here this year. So we argued about it for 2.5 hours tonight, and now it's like we all move on. Like that's it. Like we can all have our takes. But now
and you know what? All we can do is hope. And now the fun part is we'll see how their strategy plays out. We'll look and try to read and what they're doing. Argue about it, say that was a stupid move, that was a great move. Why did they
it's about finding solutions. Now it's about finding answers. It's like to debate about what Aaron Rodgers may have done serves no purpose now. He's not going to be able. He's not getting a chance to do it.
I think it's important to talk about, though, at least in terms of so you understand.
Tonight's done.
where you're
Prime
coming
time.
from.
Tonight's it. Tonight is the last night of these fucking Rodgers discussions. I can't take it anymore.
I agree totally.
Thanks for calling it, man. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
guys.
Have a good
He's
night.
an excellent call.
Great call.
Man,
Great calls all night.
Bro, I hate that you're a terrible Jet fan shit. I hate that.
I hate that opinion, like no matter what it's about. Like even if it's like somebody saying that to you, because I completely disagree where you're coming from. Like you're entitled to that opinion. We're all fans. We've all suffered through this team for long enough. Like I don't know.
There's many different ways you can win in the NFL, but to say and like I guess like Larry said that. I guess Joe said that he doesn't believe in Aaron Glenn anymore because of that decision. Like that's just what? Like it's February 10th. Like I'm telling you, prime time. It's like the first day of free agency. It's exactly what this is like. First day, everybody panics. First day of free agency, everybody panics. You see all these fucking videos. Oh my God, Jets are doing nothing. They're wasting our time. Same old Jets. 3 days later, oh my God, they're making so many great moves. This makes so much sense. No shit. Let the plan play out and see what it is before you overreact and raise all kinds of hell. So thank you guys for joining us. I'm exhausted. I never want to talk about Aaron Rodgers ever again after the show, if possible, because
I mean, he still hasn't officially been released yet, so
I can't wait for the farewell message to the fans. I really wanted to be here, but they pushed me out the door. I've never been cut before.
When he actually does get released, I have to do the candlelit Sam Darnold video again. Recreate that shit.
Oh my God. Thank you to all the callers. Thank you everybody tuned in. Oh, thank God this is over. So now next week we start solution videos, like all about answers.
I might need 2 weeks for that, but I'll see what I can do by next week.
I'll talk to you in March. Thank you guys for joining us. Listen, Benigno said anyone happy Rodgers was cut isn't a true Jet fan. That's why I don't listen to him anymore. That's why. Primetime roster videos, please.
Can do that.
We'll talk to you guys next week.
Later.